Chapter 98. There's a lake. After passing through the spell, Zhou Donghuang saw a lake so clear that he could see the bottom. In front of the lake were two large trees leaning against each other. However, very quickly, Zhou Donghuang's gaze was drawn to the figure sitting cross-legged on the other side of the lake. This was a young lady about 20 years old. She wore a light green dress and had long hair that cascaded down her back. Her eyebrows were like a painting, her nose was high, and her lips were bright red. She was extremely beautiful. Her peerlessly beautiful cheeks were slightly cold, imperceptibly revealing a kind of iciness that kept people at a distance of 1,000 miles. Poison. In the blink of an eye, Zhou Donghuang noticed that the lady's exposed snow-white skin would blush from time to time. The blush would disappear in the blink of an eye, but it would quickly reappear. Furthermore, the frequency of this happening was increasing. Zhou Donghuang had just taken 2 steps in the direction of the lady when she suddenly opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes were like pure and flawless gems, instantly attracting Zhou Donghuang's attention. Like a finishing touch, the woman at this moment completely displayed her peerless beauty. Whether it was her temperament or appearance, she was even more eye-catching than the proud daughters of the great clans and supreme sects of the Starfield in his previous life. However, very quickly, this pair of pure and flawless eyes turned crimson again. She stared at him coquettishly, and the atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous. Scram! As the lady opened her mouth with some difficulty, she let out a low growl that came from deep within her throat. The crimson color in her eyes temporarily disappeared, as if they had instantly turned back into pure and flawless gems. At the same time, there was a look of anxiety and panic in the depths of her eyes. Not long ago, Luo Qinghan had already made up her mind to continue struggling for a while. If she still could not suppress the effects of the yin-yang elixir in her body, she would use her last shred of rationality to self-destruct her primal core. The destructive power of the self-destruction of the primal core would not only blow her body to smithereens, but it would also completely destroy the entire area that was covered by the spell. However, what she did not expect was that in the burial ground that she had prepared for herself, a youth would suddenly appear. Didn't she set up the spell? How did this youth get in? However, right now, she had no time to explain too much to the young man. She only wanted the young man to stay away from the burial ground that she had prepared for herself. With the young man here, although she could also self-destruct her primordial core, she did not want to harm the innocent. Wow, Scram! The woman blurted out, and a terrifying sound wave swept towards Zhou Donghuang, causing his eardrums to rupture instantly. Blood flowed from his ears, and at the same time, it caused his internal organs to tremble. He could not help but open his mouth and spit out a large mouthful of blood. She's a primal core adept. Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed. He had never imagined that this girl, who looked to be in her 20s at most, would actually be a primal core adept. Based on the environment and heritage of Ziyun, it was impossible for such a young primal core adept to appear. Thus, there was only one possibility. This woman came from outside the planet of Ziyun. What poison did you get? I might be able to help you. Although the woman's voice had injured Zhou Donghuang could see a trace of determination and reluctance in the depths of her eyes. It was not difficult to tell that she had something that she could not speak of. Seeing that the young man had no intention of leaving, Luo Qinghan had wanted to send him flying. But before she could activate the inner yuan in her primordial core, she realized the power of the yin-yang elixir in her body had become even more overbearing as she was distracted, and it spread through her entire body, causing her to feel dizzy. Whoosh! Just as Luo Qinghan's eyes were dazed and her body swayed, Zhou Donghuang had already flown out to support her as she was about to fall. The masculine aura that rushed toward her caused the power of the yin-yang elixir in Luo Qinghan's body to boil even more, causing her consciousness to become increasingly blurry. Go, go! Luo Qinghan gently bit her tongue, temporarily clearing her mind as she shouted at the young man who was supporting her. You've been poisoned by the yin-yang elixir? At this time, Zhou Donghuang finally confirmed the poison that the woman had been poisoned with. Strictly speaking, This was not a poison, but a very overbearing aphrodisiac known as the yin-yang elixir. It was colorless and odorless. Unless one was a divine transformation adept or above, anyone who was careless with the yin-yang elixir would be poisoned. The simplest way to neutralize the yin-yang elixir was to combine yin and yang. However, Zhou Dongwang also had other ways to neutralize the yin-yang elixir. Just bear with it a little longer. Give me an hour, and I can help you force the power of the yin-yang elixir out of your body. Just as Zhou Dongwang finished speaking and was about to use his qi to help the woman force out the yin-yang elixir, the woman's pure and flawless eyes were completely captivated. Her gaze was seductive as it landed on Zhou Dongwang. The fair skin on her body was flushed red. In the next moment, Zhou Dongwang felt a huge force pushing him down. He wanted to resist, but the woman's strength was much stronger than his. He was completely powerless to resist. In his previous life, he had viewed primordial core adepts as ants. And now, in front of a primordial core adept, he was no different from an ant. Oh no, she's completely under the control of the yin-yang elixir. Seeing the woman transform from a pure fairy into an enchanting demon, pouncing on him and using her inner yuan to bind him, Zhou Donghuang's expression changed. Wake up! I can use other methods to help you neutralize the effects of the yin-yang elixir. No, no way. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. The woman sat by the lake with her clothes in a mess. She looked at the red roses scattered on the messy ground in front of her, and then looked at the young man who was sitting cross-legged not far away, completely immersed in his cultivation. I shouldn't have cared about him just now. Thinking back to when she had first seen the young man, Luo Qinghan's mouth twitched, and a look of regret flashed across her eyes. Just now, she had already planned to self-destruct her primordial core, but because of the young man's intrusion, she had temporarily given up on the idea of self-destructing her primordial core. And at that moment, the effects of the yin-yang elixir had taken the opportunity to completely control her. Although she could not remember what happened next, she could still remember bits and pieces. Coupled with the scene before her, it was not difficult for her to guess what had just happened. Luo Qinghan's expression turned cold, and she raised her hand as fast as lightning. Her inner yuan burst out of her body and wrapped around her palm. With a light blow, she could end the life of the young man before her. But in the end, she put down her hand. Forget it. At the end of the day, this matter has nothing to do with him. In fact, he is just a victim. Perhaps the heavens sent him to help me neutralize the effects of the yin-yang elixir, because they did not want me to self-destruct my primordial core. Since the heavens have not forsaken me, I should return to the Tianxian planet and settle the score with that vicious woman. Luo Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly, and with a shake of her body, she rose into the air and disappeared behind the clouds. Luo Qinghan, the second daughter of the Luo family on the Tianxian planet, was also a proud daughter of the Luo family. Her martial arts talent was so high that she easily surpassed the younger generation of the Luo family, including her eldest brother. She was publicly recognized as the top of the younger generation of the Luo family. At the age of 20, she had already entered the primordial core stage and was the youngest primordial core adept in the history of the Luo family. A few days ago, Luo Qinghan's best friend had invited her to share a meal, but she had not expected that her best friend would put the yin-yang elixir in the wine then. When the effects of the drug had taken effect, she had seen the man who had pursued her for a long time, but had been firmly rejected by her. With the help of her best friend, the other party had wanted to have sex with her. She had suppressed the effects of the yin-yang elixir all the way to escape, and had even used up all the spirit stones she had on her to cast a concealment spell around herself. Only then had she been able to successfully escape to the nearest interstellar teleporter. Indiscriminate teleportation. She had stepped onto the interstellar teleporter, and in order to avoid leaving any traces, she had chosen to indiscriminate teleportation, allowing the interstellar teleporter to send her to any galaxy, as well as any planet within that galaxy. Then, Luo Qinghan had been indiscriminately teleported to the planet of Ziyun, appearing near the Chu royal city. She had landed deep within the Lost Forest, snatched the resting place of the 2 golden-crowned eagles, and set up a spell in an attempt to neutralize the effects of the yin-yang elixir in her body. However, the effects of the yin-yang elixir were too strong, and seeing that there was no hope of neutralizing it, she had decided to self-destruct her primal core to preserve her purity. She, Luo Qinghan, would rather die than allow anyone to sully her flawless body. However, she had not expected that just as she was about to self-destruct her primal core, a young man would suddenly barge in, causing her to feel compassion for him and temporarily give up on the idea of self-destructing her primal core. And it was this moment that led to something that should not have happened between her and the young man. Zhou Dongwang. Not long ago, when she and the young man were making love, Luo Qinghan had learned his name from him. However, in her opinion, she and this young man would never cross paths again in this lifetime. When the shirtless young man awoke from his practice, it was already evening, and the sky was filled with a red glow, making it seem as if the entire land had been dyed red. Even the white fog formed by the surrounding spell could not block out the glow of the red glow. She left. Looking around, he did not see any sign of the woman, and looking at the gradually thinning white fog, Zhou Donghuang knew that the woman had left without saying goodbye. Tianqian Planet, Luo Qinghan. This was all the information that Zhou Donghuang knew about the woman, including her name and background. Just as he had guessed, the woman was not from the planet of Ziyun. Looks like this is the first time. Looking at the blood stains on the ground in front of him, Zhou Donghuang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Chapter 99. Could it be this is what it feels like to fall in love? Zhou Donghuang realized that now, whenever he opened or closed his eyes, the image of the girl named Luo Qinghan would appear in his mind involuntarily. It was as if she had taken root in his mind and could not be dispelled. The Tianqian Planet. I will look for you. Zhou Donghuang knew that with his current ability, the gap between him and Luo Qinghan was too great. Perhaps even Luo Qinghan did not think that they would have a chance to meet again. After all, Luo Qinghan was only 20 years old and had already attained the primal core stage. And he was almost 18 years old but had not even attained the Khanate stage. However, although I do not know the art of dual practice, she is a primal core adept, and it was her first time, so I still benefited greatly. When Luo Qinghan awoke, Zhou Donghuang had been practicing because he had obtained some of Luo Qinghan's primordial yin energy and wanted to refine it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would dissipate very quickly. After an afternoon, he had finally refined the primordial yin energy, and his level of practice had surpassed level 9 of Qi gathering and directly attained petty consummation of the Qi gathering. In fact, he was not far from great consummation of the Qi gathering. Petty consummation of the Qi gathering and level 9 of Qi gathering could not be mentioned in the same breath. For the former, just the Qi alone was enough to produce the strength of 9 bulls and 1 tiger, while for the latter, the Qi could produce the strength of 9 bulls at most, which was a difference of 1 tiger's strength. The strength of 1 bull was only about 400 gene of force, but the strength of 1 tiger was about 1,000 gene of force. Because of this, the gap between a level 9 adept and a petty consummation adept was even greater than the gap between a level 7 adept and a level 9 adept. Suddenly, as if sensing something, Zhou Donghuang's gaze focused on the matrix that enveloped the area beneath his feet. The matrix had been set up by Luo Qinghan using her inner yuan, and after she had left, the matrix had not been replenished with her inner yuan, and as time passed, it naturally became weaker and weaker. Boom! Kaboom! With a few loud noises, the matrix enveloping the lake collapsed, and the white fog around the lake dissipated as if it had never been there. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 huge black shadows streaked across the sky and arrived above the lake in the blink of an eye. They circled above the lake. These 2 shadows were the masters of the Lost Forest, the 2 petty consummation golden-crowned eagles. Now, they were circling above the lake while staring at the bare-chested youth sitting cross-legged at the side of the lake. Their eyes were filled with bewilderment and uncertainty. Big brother, where's that scary woman? Where did it go? I've always been with you. If you ask me, who should I ask? Big brother, The one who barged into the formation set up by that woman seems to be this young man. He's actually naked. Could it be that he's bathing in the lake? In that case, won't we have to drink his bathwater in the future? Big brother, do you want to kill him? The two golden-crowned eagles circled above the lake as they conversed in the language of beasts, as if no one else was around. I didn't bathe in it. Zhou Dongwang picked up his white robe from the ground and put it on. He stood up and tied the belt around his waist as he glanced at the two golden-crowned eagles above the lake. His lips moved slightly, and he spoke at a frequency different from human speech to the two golden-crowned eagles. And he was speaking in the language of beasts. In his previous life, he had traversed the universe for thousands of years, and he had basically dabbled in all the languages of the universe. However, he was only proficient in a few of the most widely used languages. The language of beasts was one of them. You can actually understand what we're saying? When the two golden-crowned eagles heard Zhou Dongwang speak to them in the language of beasts, they were so shocked that they slowed down. Both pairs of eyes stared at Zhou Dongwang in disbelief. Just petty consummation of a qi gathering, and you've already developed intelligence. Looks like you've both had a fortuitous encounter. Zhou Dongwang continued. Generally speaking, even if it was a demon with the ability to practice, it could only develop intelligence after attaining the Khanate stage and becoming a Khanate demon. But these two golden-crowned eagles were only petty consummation of the qi-gathering demons, but they had developed intelligence. Undoubtedly, they had had a fortuitous encounter and developed intelligence earlier than expected. Big brother, this is amazing. There's actually a human who can understand us. Second brother, looks like this human youth is not simple. As Zhou Dongwang once again used the language of beasts to communicate with the two golden-crowned eagles, the two golden-crowned eagles whispered to each other excitedly. Ever since they had developed intelligence, they could only communicate with each other. Of all the beasts in the Lost Forest, they were the only ones who had developed intelligence, and it was difficult to find a third beast to talk to. But now, there was actually a human who could communicate with them, and they could not help but feel excited at the same time. Young man, how did you break into the matrix set up by that woman? The elder of the two golden-crowned eagles asked Zhou Dongwang. It's such a simple matrix. How hard would it be to break in? Zhou Dongwang countered. Young man, where's that woman? The younger golden-crowned eagle asked Zhou Dongwang. She left. Hearing the golden-crowned eagle mention Luo Qinghan, Zhou Dongwang sighed. Left? Hearing Zhou Dongwang's words, the eyes of the two golden-crowned eagles lit up, and they flew excitedly above the lake, circling a few times before returning to the air in front of Zhou Dongwang. Young man, since you can talk to us, you can stay in the Lost Forest with us in the future. With us, you'll definitely have a good life. The younger golden-crowned eagle said to Zhou Dongwang with narrowed eyes, as if he wanted to take Zhou Dongwang in as a follower. I'm not a demon. Why should I stay in the Lost Forest? Zhou Dongwang shook his head and turned to walk out, preparing to leave the depths of the Lost Forest and return to the Chu Royal City. It was already late, and by the time he returned to the Chu Royal City, it would probably be completely dark. Young man, our territory is not a place you can come and go as you please, the older golden-crowned eagle said coldly. You either stay and be our follower or die here. You'd better think carefully. What? I don't want to stay here, and you still intend to kill me? Zhou Dongwang turned back to look at the two golden-crowned eagles, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Then I'd like to see, what right do you have to kill me? Having broken through from level 8 to petty consummation of the Qi gathering, Zhou Donghuang's Qi had improved by leaps and bounds, and now that the two golden-crowned eagles had the intention of attacking him, he was immediately excited. Big brother, I'll go teach him a lesson. The younger golden-crowned eagle said to the other golden-crowned eagle, then flapped his wings and sped towards Zhou Dongwang. The black wings were like blades, leaving a crisp sound in the air. But the golden-crowned eagle's true power was not in its wings, but in its sharp claws that could cut through metal as if it were mud. Whoosh! The petty consummation golden-crowned eagle flew at full speed like a bolt of lightning, and in the blink of an eye was behind Zhou Dongwang, its sharp claws about to land on Zhou Dongwang. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang's figure flashed, and he dodged the golden-crowned eagle's claws like a ghost, the entire process as smooth as flowing water. Whoosh! The golden-crowned eagle attacked again, but Zhou Dongwang still managed to dodge it. Is that all you've got? Zhou Dongwang used a first-grade swiftness technique, and his footwork was miraculous. His body was like a ghost, and he easily dodged the golden-crowned eagle's attack. Finally, the golden-crowned eagle began to tire, but Zhou Donghuang was unaffected, and he did not slow down at all. Second brother, you're really useless. The older golden-crowned eagle cursed at the golden-crowned eagle that could not do anything to Zhou Donghuang, and then joined in the attack on Zhou Donghuang. But even though the two golden-crowned eagles attacked Zhou Donghuang together, they still could not touch him, not even the hem of his clothes. Rascal! Do you only know how to dodge? After about 10 breaths, the younger golden-crowned eagle cursed in exasperation. Of course not, Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Zhou Donghuang said lightly, I just wanted to see if you could meet me. Now it looks like I overestimated you. Almost as soon as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, he suddenly stopped where he was and faced the two golden-crowned eagles that were lunging at him, his hands forming claws as they swept out. Zhou Donghuang used the first-grade attack technique, 100 changing hands of grappling, and easily dodged the sharp claws of the two golden-crowned eagles. His hands were like pincers, and he grabbed one of their wings, holding it in his hands. Just as the two golden-crowned eagles were about to attack again, Zhou Donghuang's arms shook, and he spun the eagles around a few times in the air, and then threw them viciously out, crashing into one of the large trees by the lake. Bang! Bang! The two golden-crowned eagles landed heavily on the tree trunk, causing the tree to shake. They were also in a sorry state and barely managed to stabilize themselves, flapping their wings to prevent themselves from falling to the ground. Rascal, I did not expect you to be so strong. I admit, on the ground, we are no match for you. After the older golden-crowned eagle steadied itself, it circled about 10 meters above Zhou Donghuang's head, as if to provoke him. But we specialize in flying. If we take to the skies, you can't do anything to us. His voice was full of smugness. Is that so? Zhou Donghuang smiled faintly, and then kicked out, lifting a rock the size of a baby's fist from the ground and grabbing it. What? Are you going to use the rock in your hand to attack me? The golden-crowned eagle laughed coldly. Whoosh! Chapter 100. While Zhou Donghuang was gathering his strength, the golden-crowned eagle had already sped up to a higher altitude, but it was still unable to avoid the rock that Zhou Donghuang had thrown and struck it on the head. In a moment of dizziness, the golden-crowned eagle fell from the sky, and if not for the other golden-crowned eagle catching it in time, it would have been the first golden-crowned eagle of its kind to fall to its death. Thank you for showing mercy. After a moment of dizziness, the older golden-crowned eagle finally recovered and thanked Zhou Donghuang profusely. At this moment, when it looked at Zhou Donghuang again, its eyes were filled with fear. The golden-crowned eagle had already seen the youth's strength when he had grabbed its wing and thrown it. It was not difficult to see that the youth had shown mercy when he had thrown a rock. Otherwise, it would have been dead by now. This chi-gathering elixir in my hands should be able to help you attain great consummation of the chi-gathering. Zhou Donghuang raised his hand and threw a bottle of chi-gathering elixir to the older golden-crowned eagle. The latter's eyes shone with surprise, but it still reached out to catch it, then opened the stopper on the bottle and poured all the elixir into its mouth and swallowed it. It was not worried that the youth would harm it. If the youth had wanted to harm it, he could have killed it without mercy. After consuming the chi-gathering elixir, the older golden-crowned eagle closed its eyes and perched on the broad back of the younger golden-crowned eagle to practice. After a while, when it opened its eyes again, they shone with excitement. This chi-gathering elixir can actually increase the sensitivity to chi by 10 times. When the older golden-crowned eagle spoke again, his tone was filled with indescribable excitement. Compared to this chi-gathering elixir, Even the chi-gathering elixir that we two brothers seized from a few adepts that doubled the sensitivity to chi is nothing but trash. Years ago, the Imperial Court of Yinyang had sent a great consummation adept to the Lost Forest to hunt 2 golden-crowned eagles. But not only did they return empty-handed, the companions had also been robbed of their chi-gathering elixirs. Increase the sensitivity to chi by 10 times? Big brother, are you joking? The eyes of the younger golden-crowned eagle were filled with disbelief. Almost as soon as it finished speaking, its big brother clenched his right claw into a fist and hit it hard on the head. You dare not believe in Big Brother's words? The second golden-crowned eagle laughed awkwardly. I wouldn't dare. Zhou Dongwang glanced at the 2 golden-crowned eagles, then turned to leave. Young man, wait. Just as Zhou Dongwang turned around, the older golden-crowned eagle spoke again, causing Zhou Dongwang to stop in his tracks and turn a look at it, his eyes narrowing slightly. What? You want to fight again? No. The older golden-crowned eagle hurriedly shook its head. We're no match for you. We admit defeat. I asked you to wait because I wanted to ask you for a few more bottles of that chi-gathering elixir you just gave me. Just that 1 bottle is not enough for me to attain great consummation of the chi-gathering. 8 or 10 more bottles should be enough to help me attain great consummation of the chi-gathering. The older golden-crowned eagle said. You want the chi-gathering elixir? Zhou Dongwang smirked as if he had succeeded in his scheme. You and I are not related. Why should I give you the chi-gathering elixir? The golden-crowned eagle paused. The young man before it seemed to have a point. In the past, it had always snatched the chi-gathering elixirs of the adepts who hunted in the Lost Forest, and it had gotten used to it. It felt that the chi-gathering elixirs of all the adepts who entered the Lost Forest should be given to it. Now, it remembered that this young man was stronger than it was, and there was nothing it could do if he did not give it the chi-gathering elixir. Seeing the golden-crowned eagle fall silent, Zhou Dongwang knew that the time was right, and he spoke again. Actually, it is not impossible for you to obtain the chi-gathering elixir I just gave you. Leave the Lost Forest and follow me. As long as you listen to me, I can always provide you with that chi-gathering elixir. With the chi-gathering elixir I give you, it will not be long before you attain the Khanate stage and become Khanate demons, much less great consummation of the chi-gathering. Zhou Dongwang stated his objective. And this was also the reason why he had not killed the golden-crowned eagles just now, because he wanted to bring these 2 golden-crowned eagles out of the Lost Forest and make them his. These 2 golden-crowned eagles were not only powerful, but they were also much faster than the Fergana horses when used as transportation. Second brother, what do you think? The older golden-crowned eagle asked the other golden-crowned eagle in a soft voice. It did not know that even though it had lowered its voice, Zhou Donghuang's incredible hearing was still able to hear it clearly. Eldest brother, if he can really continuously provide us with a chi-gathering elixir that increases our sensitivity to chi by 10 times, I think we can follow him. The second golden-crowned eagle also said in a low voice, with our potential, attaining great consummation of the chi-gathering is already our limit. If we follow him, just as he said, we have a chance of becoming Khanate demons. After we become Khanate demons, we will no longer need the chi-gathering elixir. Then we can leave him completely. Do you think he can tie us down and prevent us from leaving? The chi-gathering elixir was only useful for adepts and demons of the chi-gathering stage, and was of no help to adepts and demons of the Khanate stage and above. Second brother, I realize that you have become smarter. The eldest golden-crowned eagle laughed softly. Hearing the 2 golden-crowned eagles whisper, Zhou Dongwang laughed inwardly. If he, Zhou Dongwang, could formulate a chi-gathering elixir that could increase the speed of practice of adepts and demons of the chi-gathering stage, why couldn't he formulate elixirs that could increase the speed of practice of adepts and demons of the Khanate stage? These 2 golden-crowned eagles were too naive. Now, the 2 golden-crowned eagles still did not know that they had embarked on a path of no return. After whispering to each other, they expressed their willingness to follow Zhou Dongwang. On the way back, Zhou Dongwang stood on the back of the eldest golden-crowned eagle with his hands behind his back, allowing it to fly him back to the Chu royal city. The golden-crowned eagle was huge, much larger than the average eagle, standing about 1.5 meters tall and with a wingspan of 5 meters. Standing on it, Zhou Dongwang felt like he was walking on flat ground. "Young man, how should my eldest brother and I address you in the future?" The second golden-crowned eagle asked as it suddenly turned to look at Zhou Dongwang. "Just call me young master," Zhou Dongwang said casually. As he spoke, Zhou Dongwang asked, "Do the two of you have names?" Seeing the two golden-crowned eagles shake their heads in unison, Zhou Dongwang said, "Since you don't, I'll give you one. From today onwards, you will be called Big Gold, and this will be Little Gold." In a few words, Zhou Dongwang had given the two golden-crowned eagles a name, naming the older golden-crowned eagle Big Gold and the other golden-crowned eagle Little Gold. When they had first arrived, Zhou Dongwang had taken an hour to travel 100 kilometers from the Chu royal city to the Lost Forest. Now, being brought back by the golden-crowned eagles had taken them only 15 minutes. This was the golden-crowned eagles' normal speed, and they had not expended their qi. Once their qi was expended, they could travel even faster. 100 kilometers would take 15 minutes, 1,000 kilometers would take a little more than 2 hours. And Fergana horses are said to be able to travel 1,000 kilometers in a day. Zhou Dongwang estimated that the golden-crowned eagle's normal flying speed was about 10 times that of Fergana horses. Moreover, Fergana horses needed a path to travel, while golden-crowned eagles could fly unimpeded and did not need to consider whether there was a path or not. From the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture to the Chu royal city, even on a Fergana horse, it would take at least 2.5 months, including the rest time. If it were the golden-crowned eagles, even if they were flying at normal speed, including the rest time, considering that the sky was unimpeded and they could travel in a straight line, it would only take about 5 days. As he thought about this, Zhou Dongwang felt that it had been a wise decision not to kill the two golden-crowned eagles, but to tame them instead. There, it was late at night, and no one noticed the two golden-crowned eagles flying into the Chu royal city even at a slow speed. Zhou Dongwang directed them to land in the backyard of Chuxiao Inn. Usually, the backyard was empty, and it was perfect for the two golden-crowned eagles to rest. However, to avoid scaring Yang Zishi, Fu, and Aunt Mei, Zhou Dongwang called them to the backyard and introduced the two golden-crowned eagles to them. After half a day's rest, Yang Zishi's condition was much better. Now, Zhou Dongwang could not help but feel a little guilty when he saw her. After all, she had just confessed her feelings to the young girl this morning, saying that she only saw her as a younger sister. But in the afternoon, she had made love with another woman in the depths of the Lost Forest. This is Big Gold, and this is Little Gold. They are two silly birds that I tamed in the Lost Forest, and they will be staying in the backyard from now on. Zhou Dongwang said to the three of them. Silly birds? After the three of them recovered from their shock, they looked at the two majestic eagles in front of them and could not associate them with the word silly birds. Now that night had fallen, and the backyard was dimly lit, Yang Zishi and Aunt Mei could not clearly see the golden crowns on the heads of the two eagles. Otherwise, even if they could not believe that these two eagles were the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest, they would definitely associate them with the two golden-crowned eagles. The two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest were the two strongest demons in the western ridge of the Chu King, and almost everyone in the Chu royal city knew of them. After the three of them left the backyard, Big Gold looked at Zhou Dongwang and asked curiously, Young master, were you introducing us to them just now? Although I do not understand most human languages, I can still understand what they call us. Did you not tell them that we are golden-crowned eagles? Chapter 101. Early morning, January 1st, 1229 of the Ziyun era. Young master, Zhou Dongwang, who was practicing in his room, was startled awake by Fu. Leaping off his bed, he walked out of his room and immediately saw 3 figures standing in the front yard. The leader was an elegant, middle-aged man dressed in brocaded robes. His face was like a crown of jade, and his brows were dignified. He exuded the aura of a superior, but now he stood there obediently, not even daring to breathe. Behind the elegant middle-aged man were two old men. Looking at the posture of the two old men, they were not ordinary people. Their robes were made of brocade, and one of the old men wore a jade thumb ring on his right thumb, which was obviously valuable. The other old man had a jade pendant hanging from his waist, and, judging from the quality of the jade, it was obviously not an ordinary jade pendant either. Zhou Dongwang was no stranger to these three people. They were the three members of the Tycoon Tang family that he had met in the Lost Forest the day before. At that time, the three of them had been chased by a grizzly bear, and he had taken a liking to the grizzly bear's gallbladder. He had intervened and killed the grizzly bear, indirectly saving their lives. Chief of the Tang family, Tang Liuyan, greets young Master Dongwang. Seeing Zhou Dongwang walk out of the room, the elegant middle-aged man bowed first. Earlier, he had already learned from the servant that this person's name was Zhou Dongwang. Head elder of the Tang family, Tang Yusin, greets young Master Dongwang. Second elder of the Tang family, Tang Yong, greets young Master Dongwang. After Tang Linyan, the two old men behind him also bowed respectfully to Zhou Dongwang, not daring to show the slightest disrespect, and their eyes were filled with gratitude. Yesterday, in the Lost Forest, if not for this young man's timely intervention, they would have been killed by the level 9 grizzly bear. They were truly grateful to this young man. Tang family? Tang Liuyan? Fu, who was standing to one side, heard the introduction of the elegant middle-aged man, and his eyes narrowed as he secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Earlier, although he had heard the three men say that they were from the Tang family, he had not thought of the Tycoon Tang family. Now, hearing the introduction of the elegant middle-aged man, he realized this middle-aged man was the chief of the Tycoon Tang family, Tang Liuyan. Tang Liuyan, the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family, was a level 9 adept. It was precisely because of his existence that the Tang family was considered a high-class tycoon family among the tycoon families. And now, such a person was bowing respectfully in front of his young master. Young master. At that moment, Fu looked at Zhou Dongwang with even more admiration. Yes. Zhou Dongwang nodded lightly as he walked to the stone table in the front yard and sat down. He looked at Tang Liuyan and asked, "Where's the bear's gallbladder?" Young Master Dongwang, this is the gallbladder of a grizzly bear. At Tang Liuyan's signal, the second elder of the Tang family, Tang Yong, stepped forward and placed the box on the stone table in front of Zhou Dongwang, along with a stack of silver notes beside it. Zhou Dongwang opened the box and looked at the intact bear's gallbladder. He nodded and looked at the stack of silver notes on the table. Zhou Dongwang placed his right hand on the table, palm facing down, and clenched it into a fist. He tapped the table lightly with his index and middle fingers as he looked at Tang Liuyan and asked, "What is the meaning of this?" Young Master Dongwang, Tang Liuyan said respectfully, "The body of the grizzly bear, other than the bear's gallbladder, is worth more than 1,000,000 liang of silver. This 1,000,000 liang of silver is the price of the rest of the grizzly bear's body from the Tang family. I said before, other than the bear core, you could do whatever you want with the rest." Zhou Dongwang looked deeply at Tang Liuyan. Young Master Dongwang, Tang Liuyan said seriously, "Yesterday you saved the three of us in time. That is already a great kindness. How can we take advantage of you?" Without waiting for Zhou Dongwang to speak, Tang Liuyan took out an invitation and placed it on the stone table in front of Zhou Dongwang. Just as Duan Ling Tian saw the invitation and a look of confusion flashed across his eyes, Tang Liuyan said, "Young Master Dongwang, the Tang family will be hosting a banquet in 10 days' time, inviting all the chiefs of the grand families and above in the Chu royal city. The purpose of this banquet is to thank you for saving the lives of me and the two elders. Yesterday, if the three of us had died in the Lost Forest, the Tang family would have been reduced from a tycoon family to a grand family. The purpose of this banquet is to thank you for saving the lives of the three of us, and also to thank you for giving the Tang family a new lease on life." Following Tang Liuyan's words, not only did he bow, But the two Tang family elders behind him also did the same. I'll accept this million liang of silver. There's no need to trouble yourself with the rest. Zhou Donghuang shook his head as he spoke. Young Master Donghuang, early this morning, the Tang family has already sent invitations to all the grand families and above in the Chu royal city. In 10 days' time, we hope that young Master Donghuang will be present, or else this banquet of the Tang family will be meaningless. After saying this, Tang Linyan left with the two Tang family elders to bid farewell to Zhou Donghuang, as if leaving Zhou Donghuang no choice. Of course, even if Tang Linyan did so, no one could feel any ill will towards him. After all, his intentions were good, and it was clear that he was a grateful person, even if he was trying to curry favor with Zhou Donghuang. This Tang Linyan is really particular. After the three Tang family elders left, Zhou Donghuang shook his head with a smile and opened the invitation. His name was not written on it, only the word benefactor. Obviously, when the Tang family had prepared this invitation, they had not known his name. Fu. After letting Fu put away the bare gallbladder, invitation, and silver, Zhou Donghuang left his seat and returned to his room to practice. It was only in the afternoon, when it was time for lunch, that Fu called him out of his room again. Walking out of the room, he immediately saw a large round table in the front yard. The table was filled with piping hot dishes. Although they did not look good, they still smelled fragrant and made people want to eat. At the round table, Fu and Auntie May stood to one side. The slender young girl stood in front of the table, smiling at Zhou Donghuang as he walked out of his room. Big brother Zhou, do you remember what day it is today? What day? Zhou Donghuang was stunned. Young master, today is the day you come of age. Fu could not help but remind him. Young Master Donghuang. At the same time, Auntie May looked at the young girl in front of the table with a pained expression, then looked at Zhou Donghuang and said with a smile, all the dishes on this table were personally prepared by my mistress. As early as 3 months ago, she asked me to teach her how to cook for you on this day, to celebrate your coming of age. Auntie May's words caused Zhou Donghuang's calm heart to tremble uncontrollably. When he looked at the young girl again, his gaze became much warmer. Zishi, you've worked hard, but actually I'm not that particular. Zhou Donghuang sighed. Big brother Zhou, I wanted to learn how to cook for a long time. This time, it's just a coincidence. As the young girl spoke with a smile, a look of disappointment flashed in the depths of her eyes. Big brother Zhou, sit down and eat. The young girl stood up and helped Zhou Donghuang pull out the chair in front of the table. Only when Zhou Donghuang sat down did she sit beside him and pick some food for him. Brother Fu, Auntie May, sit down too. The young girl did not forget to call out to Fu and Auntie May, and the two of them responded and sat down. Sometimes, the arrangement of fate seemed to be playing tricks on people. If not for yesterday's incident, perhaps Zhou Donghuang's feelings for the young girl would have changed from being moved to being attracted to her. However, yesterday's incident had already made Zhou Donghuang's heart fill with a woman. Now, although he was moved, he did not dare to be moved. Between him and Luo Qinghan, what was done could not be undone. Even if he did not already have feelings for Luo Qinghan, as a man, he would definitely have to bear responsibility for taking away her first time. As for Yang Zishi, he could only choose to restrain himself. After all, he was no longer alone. In layman's terms, he was no longer single. After the meal, Zhou Donghuang felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. After eating his fill, he immediately used practicing as an excuse to return to his room. Seeing this, the young girl sighed, her beautiful face full of disappointment. Miss, don't be discouraged. I can see that young Master Donghuang is very touched by this meal. I believe that young Master Donghuang will sooner or later realize how good you are and accept you. Aunt May looked at the young girl with heartache and consoled her. Fu could not help but shake his head. He had always felt that this Lady Zishi was very suitable for his young master, but the unrequited love was unrequited love, and he could only watch anxiously from the side. Big brother Fu, big brother Zhou, does he have someone he likes? The young girl asked softly as she looked at Fu. Immediately, Aunt May's gaze fell on Fu. After all, in her opinion, A man who could not be moved by her mistress's efforts was either already in love or he did not like women. No. Fu shook his head confidently. Fu, young Master Dongwang. Could it be that he does not like women? Aunt May asked with a strange look in her eyes. Fu was stunned for a moment, then thought back. Ever since he had started following his young master, he did not seem to have seen his young master like any woman in that way. Aunt May, I have not seen my young master like any woman, but I have not seen my young master like any man either. Fu opened his mouth to explain, but as soon as the words left his mouth, he regretted them. As Fu's words fell, not only did Aunt May's gaze turn strange, but even the young girl's gaze turned strange. Chapter 102. I only broke through to level 8 of Qi gathering half a month ago. Even with the help of the concentration elixir and the tenfold increase in sensitivity to Qi, it will take me at least half a year to attain level 9 of Qi gathering. Zhou Dongwang reclined on the bed, his head leaning against the headboard, the thumb of his right hand straight, and the other four fingers bent, the pad of his index finger resting on his chin, his thumb gently rubbing his chin. And from level 9 of Qi gathering to petty consummation of Qi gathering, it will take me at least a year and a half. Even if I am lucky and can get my hands on some treasured herbs to aid my practice, it will still take me about a year and a half to break through from level 8 of Qi gathering to petty consummation of Qi gathering. And now, I'm not far from great consummation of Qi gathering. Without the help of any treasured herbs to aid my practice, I will definitely attain great consummation of Qi gathering in half a year at most. Even though Zhou Dongwang had thousands of years' worth of memories from 1,000 years ago, he still felt like he was in a dream about his recent progress in practice. No wonder so many martial adepts in my previous life were obsessed with the way of yin and yang dual cultivation. I don't even know the way of dual cultivation, yet I've received such benefits. If I knew the way of dual cultivation, I would most likely be able to enter the Khanate stage directly. After all, she is a primal core adept. At this thought, Zhou Dongwang's mind once again involuntarily flashed back to the image of a woman in a light green dress, her unparalleled beauty, and the scene of them flirting with each other. Luo Qinghan, she said she is from the planet of Tianxian. Tianxian, I do not have any impression of it, but I'm sure she is not from the galaxy where the planet of Ziyun is. She is also not from the galaxy where Earth is. However, she is only about 20 years old, and she has attained the primal core stage. Since that planet can produce such a martial genius, it means that it is not a small, unknown planet. While I leave the planet of Ziyun, I can ask around, and it will not be difficult to find out. Oh, right. I almost forgot. I have not dealt with the grizzly bear's gallbladder. Thinking about the gallbladder of the grizzly bear, Zhou Dongwang immediately found a pen and paper and wrote down a list of herbs. He then handed it to Fu and asked him to buy all the herbs on the list. These medicinal herbs, together with the gallbladder of the Herculean bear, could be concocted into a medicinal powder called Qi Increasing Powder. It could forcibly increase the strength of one's true Qi for a short period of time, and it could last for 10 breaths. The increase in the strength of his Jinqi exceeded 500 kilograms. Most importantly, the Qi-increasing elixir formulated by Zhou Dongwang was different from ordinary Qi-increasing elixirs. It had no side effects. Most Qi-increasing elixirs had some side effects, and the effects were not as good as the Qi-increasing elixir formulated by Zhou Dongwang. That night, Fu delivered the herbs to his door. Zhou Dongwang had used the gallbladder of a level 9 grizzly bear to formulate 10 bottles of Qi-increasing elixir, which he kept in his robes in case he needed it. January 11th, 1228 of the Ziyun era. On this day, the Tycoon Tang family of the Chu royal city had set up a banquet, inviting all the grand families and above of the Chu royal city. The Tang family had even sent out invitations to the Chu royal family. Of course, although the Tang family had sent invitations to the Chu royal family to invite the king of the Chu royal family, the king would definitely not attend. At most, he would send someone to attend. Even the patriarchs of the elite tycoon families would not attend the banquet, and at most they would send an elder of the family. After all, the Tang family was at most a superior-level tycoon family. It seems that the Tang family has set up this banquet just to express their gratitude to one person. Yes, it is said that the patriarch of the Tang family, the head elder of the Tang family, and the second elder of the Tang family entered the Lost Forest and encountered a grizzly bear. They were almost killed by the grizzly bear. At the critical moment, someone intervened and saved them. Grizzly bear? As far as I know, there's only one grizzly bear in the Lost Forest, and it has already matured. It is a level 9 demon, and it is second only to the 2 golden-crowned eagles in power in the Lost Forest. That's right. It is the grizzly bear that even a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering cannot kill. To be able to save the 3 members of the Tang family from the grizzly bear, even if they work together to repel the grizzly bear, the other party must be at least a level 9 adept. If the 3 members of the Tang family had died there, the Tang family would have been reduced to a grand family. No wonder the Tang family has set up such a grand banquet to express their gratitude. All over the Chu royal city, there were similar discussions. Obviously, the tycoon Tang family who had set up the banquet had not leaked the details, only some superficial information. For example, that the person who had saved the 3 members of the Tang family was a youth. For example, that the grizzly bear had been killed and not forced to retreat as everyone had guessed, or that the grizzly bear had been killed by the youth alone. As for these details, the patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Lianyin, and the 2 elders of the Tang family had only told those close to them for the time being and had not spread the news widely. They were prepared to recount the details of what had happened at the banquet and to express their gratitude to their benefactor in front of everyone. At the main entrance of the Tang family household, because the Tang family had set up a banquet, people began to arrive at the main entrance of the Tang family household in the evening, showing their invitations to enter. At first, there were fewer people. Soon, more and more people arrived, and there was even a small queue. The Sure family is here. Someone in the queue recognized the 2 men who had just alighted from the carriage and were walking towards the main entrance of the Tang family household. It's the second master of the Sure family, Sure Yin. The youth beside him is the first young master of the Tang family, Sure Yu. Sure Yin was a middle-aged man dressed in a silver robe with gold trim. His face was determined, his eyes bright and piercing, and he had a small mustache on his chin. He looked very shrewd. Today, Sure Yu was wearing a gray and white robe, walking shoulder to shoulder with Sure Yin. His complexion looked much better than before. Second Master Sure. Young Master Sure. The Sure family was the first tycoon family to arrive so far. The few people in the queue were all from grand families, and seeing the 2 from the Sure family, they all made way. This was the power of a tycoon family, and even the elite grand families it could not compare. The patriarch of the Wei family is here. Beside him is the first young master of the Wei family, Wei Hongtao. He is also the first among the younger generation of the grand families of the Chu royal city. Not long after the 2 from the Sure family entered, the elite Wei family arrived as well. The patriarch of the Wei family had come personally, accompanied by the first young master of the Wei family. Obviously, the Wei family took the Tang family's banquet very seriously. That's the carriage of the Ouyang family. However, regardless of whether it was the people from the Sure family or the Wei family, none of them could compare to a carriage that was approaching from afar. The 2 large characters embroidered on the curtains of the carriage attracted the attention of the onlookers near the entrance of the Tang family residence from afar. Ouyang. Obviously, this was the carriage of the Ouyang family. And in the Chu royal city, there was only one Ouyang family, and that was the tycoon Ouyang family. The Ouyang family had 3 level 9 adepts and almost 10 level 8 adepts, and was one of the only 3 elite tycoon families in the Chu royal city. Now, the onlookers near the main entrance of the Tang family household were basically not from the grand families and above, but just passers-by who had come to join in the fun. I wonder who is coming from the Ouyang family. The patriarch of the Ouyang family is definitely not coming. In my opinion, it should be the head elder or the 3rd elder of the Ouyang family. The Ouyang family had a total of 3 level 9 adepts, and they were the patriarch, the head elder, and the 3rd elder of the Ouyang family. In a moment, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a well-built old man in a gray robe stepped out of the carriage, leaped lightly off the carriage, and walked towards the Tang family household. Very quickly, someone recognized the old man. It's the third elder of the Ouyang family, Ouyang Zhen. Ouyang Zhen was one of the only 3 level 9 adepts in the Ouyang family, and he held a high position in the Ouyang family. Even in the Chu royal city, a level 9 adept of Qi gathering was a formidable figure. Ouyang Zhen's appearance had unsurprisingly attracted the attention of the crowd of onlookers outside the main entrance of the Tang family mansion. Elder Ouyang Zhen. Even the Tang family juniors guarding the main entrance of the Tang family household were far more respectful to Ouyang Zhen than they had been to any of the people who had entered before them. This was the power of a level 9 adept. At the main entrance of the Zheng family household. Quick! Quick! A middle-aged man hurriedly boarded the carriage parked outside the main entrance with a gorgeously dressed young lady, and the carriage headed for the Tang family household. Xiuhe, you're too slow. Our Zheng family is only an inferior grand family, and if we're late, the Tang family will have a bad impression of us. In the carriage, the middle-aged man, who was the patriarch of the grand Zheng family, Zheng Donglai, frowned slightly as he spoke to the young lady sitting opposite him. The young lady was his daughter, third young mistress of the Zheng family, Zheng Xiuhe. Father, I'm just trying to look prettier, right? Zheng Xiuhe giggled. Didn't you tell me the night before yesterday that the benefactor that the Tang family is holding today with great fanfare to thank is a youth? Zheng Donglai was taken aback at first, but then he laughed. So that's what you were thinking, Xiuhe? Good. Xiuhe, if you can get together with that youth, even if it's just to be his concubine, the Zheng family's meteoric rise will be just around the corner. Zheng Donglai was close to one of the Tang family's direct descendants. The day before yesterday, he had learned from the other party that the benefactor that the Tang family was holding this banquet to thank was a youth who was about to come of age. Moreover, that youth had the ability to kill a grizzly bear single-handedly. At that time, Zheng Donglai had realized. Chapter 103. At the main entrance of the Run family household. A horse carriage was moving slowly towards the Tang family household. In the carriage, a middle-aged man dressed in a dark yellow robe, tall and well-built, with dashing eyebrows and bright eyes, was sitting opposite an old man. The old man was dressed in a green robe, of medium build and ordinary features. His long gray hair flowed down his back, and he sat solemnly at the side of the carriage. Chief, did first young mistress say that she wanted to attend the banquet at the Tang family household with you? The old man was the head elder of the Ren family, Ren Xiong. From the way he addressed the middle-aged man sitting opposite him, this middle-aged man was obviously the chief of the Ren family, Ren Tianqing. That girl, I don't know what's wrong with her recently. She has not left the house for more than 10 days. She used to like to join in the fun. But when I went to look for her yesterday and asked if she wanted to attend the Tang family banquet with me, she rejected me without hesitation. Ren Tianqing shook his head with a bitter smile, his eyes full of confusion. First young mistress used to go out frequently and was very close to Yang Zishi. It's a good thing that she has not gone out now. At least she will not incur the wrath of the Shi family, because she is close to Yang Zishi. Ren Xiong said, and the person that Ren Tianqing and Ren Xiong were talking about was first young mistress of the Ren family, Ren Jiapei. Ever since the gathering at the Wei family household more than 10 days ago, Ren Jiapei had been staying in the Ren family household, not going out at all. She was no longer as lively as before, and those who had met her during this time had realized that she was no longer as cheerful as before. And the reason she was like this was all because of the word love. After that day, Ren Jiapei had realized that she had fallen deeply in love with the youth by Yang Zishi's side, to the point where she could not bear to part with him. But Yang Zishi also liked that youth. She saw Yang Zishi as her own sister, and in addition, Yang Zishi had saved her life when she was young. She could not possibly compete with Yang Zishi over him. Because of this, she had been locking herself in her room recently, saying that she was practicing in seclusion, but in reality, she was escaping. Today, the Tang family household was very lively. All the chiefs of the grand families of the Chu royal city had come, without exception. In addition, many patriarchs of the tycoon families of the Chu royal city had also come personally. Although the patriarchs of the three elite tycoon families were not present, they had each sent a family elder, and all of them were level 9 adepts of Qi gathering, giving the Tang family plenty of face. Now, of all the grand families of the Chu royal city and above, only the Chu royal household had not sent anyone who had received an invitation. No one was surprised by this. The Chu royal household was the master of the Chu royal city, as well as the master of the entire western ridge of the Chu king. Even the most elite tycoon families had to rely on them to survive. Although the Tang family was a tycoon family, they were not a threat to the Chu royal household, and the Chu royal household did not need to consider whether to give the Tang family face. If they didn't give face to the Tang family, what could the Tang family do? To put it bluntly, in the eyes of the Chu royal household, even a top tycoon family was just a slightly larger ant. Other than the people from the Chu royal household, all the grand families and above seemed to be here. At the main entrance of the Tang family household, a few of the Tang family disciples in charge of reception opened the name list in their hands and scanned it, quickly discovering that it was not only the Chu royal household who had not come. There was still one person who had not come. However, this person did not belong to any family, but was listed first on the list with only the word benefactor. I didn't notice earlier, could the benefactor on the first line of the list be the person who saved the lives of the patriarch, head elder, and second elder of the Tang family's banquet tonight? One of the Tang family disciples guessed. It should be. Another Tang family disciple nodded with a serious expression. I remember all the guests who came today. They are all from the grand families and above. There are no unfamiliar faces. Since that person's name is not on the list, he must not be from the grand families of the Chu royal city, or even from our Chu royal city. Why is that person not here yet? If he is not here, what is the point of our banquet today? A few of the Tang family disciples looked around for a while, but still did not see anyone walking towards the main entrance of the Tang family household. As the star of today's banquet, the person who had saved the lives of the patriarch, head elder, and second elder of the Tang family, would he not come? The person from the Chu royal household probably won't come. As time passed, the crowd of onlookers at the main entrance of the Tang family household gradually dispersed. And just as more than half of the crowd had dispersed, at the end of the road, a white figure and a beautiful figure in a rose-red dress walked side by side. The two of them walked directly to the main entrance of the Tang family household. The youth in white took out an invitation from his pocket and handed it to a Tang family disciple who was guarding the door. They are from the Chu royal household? Impossible. I know all the reputable people in the Chu royal household. These two can't be from the Chu royal household. Among the onlookers who had yet to leave, some guessed that the youth and the girl before them were from the Chu royal household. But this was quickly refuted. That young girl. Isn't she Yang Zishi, who was personally expelled from the Yang family by Patriarch Yang Yunji 4 months ago? Yang Zishi? Did I find her familiar just now? That's right, she is Yang Zishi. Very quickly, someone recognized the young girl in the rose-red dress. She was Miss Zishi of the former Grand Yang family, who had been expelled from the Yang family 4 months ago. The Yang Zishi who was expelled from the Yang family? You can't have mistaken her for someone else, right? Those Tang family disciples were much more enthusiastic towards her and the youth beside her than they were towards the patriarch of the Yang family, Yang Yunji. Not to mention Yang Yunji, even the elders of the 3 top tycoon families didn't seem to be this enthusiastic. Under the gazes of the surrounding crowd, a few Tang family disciples bowed as they moved in unison to welcome the young man and woman who looked like a pair of golden boy and jade girl. I am certain that she is Yang Zishi. The reason why these Tang family disciples are so enthusiastic is probably because of that youth. In the Chu royal city, there are very few people who can make these Tang family disciples act this way. Are you trying to say that this youth is the young master of the Chu royal household? I have seen all the young masters of the Chu royal household, and he is not one of them. Zhou Kedong Wang, who had been warmly welcomed into the Tang family household by the Tang family disciples, did not know that he had been mistaken for the young master of the Chu royal household. The Tang family disciples who were guarding the door were shocked when they saw Zhou Donghuang's invitation, and they respectfully welcomed him into the Tang family household. This was because, on Zhou Donghuang's invitation, the words benefactor were written on the line for the invited. Of course, the Tang family disciples did not think that the youth before them had saved their patriarch, head elder, and second elder. They only thought that it was the youth's elder who had saved them, and that the youth was only attending the banquet on behalf of his elder. Even so, they did not dare to be negligent. "Young Master Zhou, please come in." One of the Tang family disciples stayed behind to bring Zhou Donghuang and Yang Zishi to the place where the Tang family was hosting the banquet, the spacious front courtyard of the Tang family household. Earlier, when one of the Tang family disciples had asked Zhou Donghuang how he should be addressed, Zhou Donghuang had casually given his name, so the Tang family disciples already knew that his surname was Zhou. "Go ahead, we will go there ourselves." Just as the Tang family disciple was about to bring them directly to see the patriarch, Tang Linyan, Zhou Donghuang stopped him, and the latter naturally obeyed, not daring to go against Zhou Donghuang's wishes. The Tang family was an upper-level tycoon family in the Chu royal city, and its family household occupied a vast area, much larger than that of the tycoon Shi family. Now, in the spacious front courtyard of the Tang family household, there were many large round tables, many of which were already seated, and many more were standing in groups of 3 to 5, chatting idly. With just one glance, Zhou Donghuang saw, in the distance at the easternmost round table in the front courtyard, the patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Linyan, was chatting idly with 3 old men. The second elder of the Tang family, Tang Yusin, and the third elder, Tang Yong, were also standing far away, chatting idly with a few others. Because of the distance and the commotion in the front courtyard, when Zhou Donghuang brought Yang Zishi into the front courtyard, the 3 of them did not notice them for the time being. However, while the 3 of them did not notice Zhou Donghuang and Yang Zishi, someone else did. "Isn't that Yang Zishi?" Many people recognized the young girl beside Zhou Donghuang. Wasn't Yang Zishi expelled from the Yang family? Now that she is not a member of a grand family, how can she be here? Today, the Tang family is hosting a banquet, inviting people from all the grand families and above. This Yang Zishi, who is expelled from the Yang family, should not have a right to be here. How did she get here? Could it be that the young man beside her brought her here? As the crowd whispered, many people's gazes fell on Zhou Donghuang. Now, although Zhou Donghuang was already 18 years old, and more than 8 meters tall, he was already a young man, but there was still a hint of childishness in his features, and it was easy to mistake him for a young man. "It's him. This young man. Isn't he the one who maimed the arm of Zhang Yongshan of the Zhang family 10 days ago at the Wei family household? He actually did not die? The first young master of the Shi family, Shi Yu, did not seek him out for revenge?" Many of the young men of the grand families present recognized Zhou Donghuang at a glance, and as they whispered, their gazes all turned to a round table in the distance. The first young master of the Shi family, Shi Yu, sat there, his back facing them. Shi Yu? Chapter 104. 10 days ago, Wei Hongtao had gone to the Grand Tan family to find the first young master of the Tan family, Tan Ji, because he was suspicious that Shi Yu had not attended the gathering of the Grand Signs that day. At first, Tan Ji had avoided the topic, but later he had revealed a piece of information to him. Shi Yu did not dare to provoke the youth by Yang Zishi's side. At that moment, he was completely certain. First young lady Ren Jiape had not lied to him. Because of this, hearing the words of this group of scions, he looked at them as if they were idiots and felt a sense of intellectual superiority. Yang Zishi, among the group of scions, a gorgeously dressed young lady stepped forward. It was the third young lady of the Zheng family, Zheng Qiuha. She had looked around earlier, and the first young lady of the Ren family, Ren Jiape, was not around. Thinking of how Ren Jiape had stood up for Yang Zishi at the Wei family mansion that day, she felt a surge of anger rush to her head. Ren Jiape was not around, and she was not worried that someone would protect Yang Zishi. Although Shi Yu was around, Yang Zishi had brought a man with him, and given Shiryu's temper, he would not help Yang Zishi. So she stepped forward and looked at Yang Zishi with a mocking smile. How did you get in? Today, the Tang family has invited all the grand and above families of the Chu royal city. I am very curious. How did someone like you, who was expelled from the Yang family, manage to sneak in? From beginning to end, Zheng Qiuhe did not even glance at the youth beside Yang Zishi. In her opinion, in the country of Yinyang, a person with the surname Zhou could not possibly have any background. At most, he would be a scion of a preeminent family. Such a person was not worthy of Zheng Qiuhe's attention. Zheng Qiuhe. The young lady glanced at Zheng Qiuhe. I, Yang Zishi, have never offended you before? That day at the Wei family mansion, you were overbearing, and now, at the Tang family mansion, you are still overbearing. Do you really think that I, Yang Zishi, am a pushover? As she spoke, the young lady's beautiful cheeks could not help but show signs of anger. In the past, she had treated Zheng Qiuhe like a sister, giving her a lot without asking for anything in return. It was one thing that Zheng Qiuhe hadn't given her anything in return, but now that she was being kicked out of the Yang clan, she kept hitting her when she was down. No matter how good-tempered she was, she couldn't hold back her anger. TSK, our Miss Zishi seems to be angry. Accompanied by a mocking laughter, another girl who was about the same age as Zheng Qiuhe stood up from another round table and slowly walked over. No, I almost forgot. You, Yang Zishi, have already been expelled from the Yang family. You're no longer a member of the Yang family. The young woman wore an orange dress, and her appearance could be considered delicate and pretty. However, at this moment, she had a mocking smile on her face, and her eyes were filled with schadenfreude. Xietingting, Yang Zishi's already angry face darkened slightly. I seem to have treated you well in the past, right? So what? Xietingting sneered and took a few steps forward to Yang Zishi's side. She whispered into Yang Zishi's ear, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for having a vixen face. Xietingting's tone was filled with jealousy as she said this. Yang Zishi, I advise you to leave as soon as possible before most of the guests have taken their seats. When the Tang clan's guest arrives and the banquet begins, you'll have nowhere to hide. At that time, being chased out by the Tang clan will be much more humiliating than leaving now. Another young woman stood up and said gloatingly. When she looked at Yang Zishi, her eyes were also filled with jealousy. Yilin, seeing this young woman, Yang Zishi's expression darkened even more. Zheng Qiuhe and Xietingting were still all right. Although she had helped them, it was only a small favor, but this Yilin, she had once helped her greatly. And now, this Yilin was also standing up to kick her when she was down. Previously at the Wei family mansion, Xietingting and Yilin had ignored her, but she did not think much of it. She really did not care if they did not reciprocate her kindness. But she had treated them well, and they had still come to kick her when she was down. She really could not stand it. Zishi, they're just 3 clowns? Why take them so seriously? Zhou Dongwang, who had been standing beside the young girl, had not spoken all this while. Sensing the young girl's anger, he glanced at Zheng Qiuhe and the other 2 girls and said calmly. Zhou Donghuang's words were like poking a hornet's nest, causing Zheng Qiuhe and the other 2 women's expressions to change. They all glared at Zhou Donghuang coldly. Zhou Donghuang, do you really think that just because you have some martial talent, you can challenge the grand families? Xietingting asked coldly. Zhou Donghuang, the Tang family has set up a banquet today, and only the grand families and above have been invited. As far as I know, there is no grand family with the surname Zhou in the Chu royal city. Looks like you snuck in just like Yang Zishi. Zheng Qiuhe smiled mockingly. You two, just you wait. Yilin glanced coldly at Zhou Donghuang, then turned and walked hurriedly towards the 2 people who were conversing nearby. Chief, he is chatting with the 10th elder of the Tang family. Yilin is probably going over now to report to the 10th elder of the Tang family that someone has snuck into the Tang family. One of the scions of the grand family's guest. Who would have thought that before the banquet starts, there would be such a show to watch? Many of the scions of the grand clans looked like they were watching a good show. They looked with interest at the young man and lady who stood not far away, like they were a match made in heaven. Chief Zhang, your son Zhang Yongshan's arm was maimed by this young man. Now that he's right in front of you, aren't you going to avenge your son? Another grand elder beside the chief of the Grand Zhang family could not help but ask after hearing the whispers of the young man beside him. Avenge. The chief of the Zhang family was a skinny middle-aged man, and after hearing the words of the old man beside him, he shook his head and laughed self-deprecatingly. That day, when his son Zhang Yongshan had been sent back, he had been furious, and the first thing he had wanted to do was seek revenge. However, before he had even left the Zhang family mansion, he had met someone from the Shi family. The first young master of the Shi family, Shi Yu, had sent someone to remind him not to provoke the young man who had maimed his son on account of the fact that his son had been injured because of him, because even the Shi family could not afford to offend that young man. The Shi family was a tycoon family, and although it was only a lowly tycoon family, it was not something that the Zhang family could compare to. Naturally, the Zhang family could not afford to offend someone that even the Shi family could not afford to offend. Therefore, he had given up on the idea of revenge. Even now, seeing the girls of the Zhang, Xie, and He families clash with the young man, he could not help but mourn for them in his heart. In his opinion, since someone that even the Shi family could not afford to offend had appeared at the Tang family's banquet, he must have been invited by the Tang family and could not have snuck in. Luckily, he did not hold it against me the last time. Otherwise, even if I were killed by him, I would have died in vain. Tan Li, the third young master of the Grand Tan family, was sitting beside his father, the chief of the Tan family, looking fearfully at the young man in white standing not far away. That day, when he had returned to the Tan family mansion, he had found out who he had provoked. That person was someone that even his cousin Shi Yu's tycoon Shi family could not afford to offend. Although Zhou Dongwang had caused quite a commotion because of the distance and the commotion in the front yard of the Tang family mansion, the Tang family chief, Tang Liuyan, and the other two who knew Zhou Dongwang had not yet noticed the commotion. If the three of them had noticed the commotion, they would definitely have seen Zhou Dongwang and come up immediately. After all, the main character today, the benefactor of the Tang family, was Zhou Dongwang. Big brother Zhou, although He Lin's father, is only the chief of a grand family. He is very close to the 10th elder of the Tang family. Will this commotion of hers affect you? The young girl asked Zhou Dongwang softly. Yang Zishi did not know that the main character today at the Tang family banquet was her big brother Zhou. She only thought that her big brother Zhou had received an invitation from the Tang family to join in the fun, just like Rin Jiapei, who had brought them to the Wei family mansion 10 days ago. However, although her voice was very soft, Zhang Qiuhe and Xie Tingting were standing not far away, so they heard her clearly. For a moment, the corners of their mouths curled into a mocking smile. When the 10th elder of the Tang family arrives, I'll see how you deal with this. The mocking smile on Xie Tingting's face deepened. Don't even think of leaving now. Even if you leave, the 10th elder of the Tang family will still capture you in a fit of rage. Zhang Qiuhe threatened. At the same time, He Lin returned, and beside her were two middle-aged men. One of the middle-aged men looked somewhat similar to He Lin, and it was obvious that he had a close relationship with He Lin. He was obviously the chief of the Grand He family, He Wui. The other middle-aged man, dressed in a blue robe and of medium build, walked over with He Lin angrily. Uncle Zhamping, it's them. After He Lin returned, she first looked at Zhou Dongwang and Yang Zishi arrogantly, then turned to the middle-aged man in the blue robe beside her. Do you have an invitation? Tang Zhamping asked in a suppressed voice as he glanced coldly at Zhou Dongwang and He Wui, clearly suppressing his anger. Without an invitation, how can I enter? Zhou Dongwang looked back at him and asked in return. From what you say, you have an invitation? Tang Zhamping's eyes narrowed, and he smiled coldly. Our Tang family banquet tonight is only open to the grand families of the Chu royal city and above. I wonder which family you are from. Tang Zhamping's eyes narrowed, and a cold light flashed across them. Although he had just returned to the Tang family that evening, he knew that apart from their benefactor, only the grand families of the Chu royal city and above had been invited to this banquet. And the youth before him, whose surname was Zhou, could not possibly be from any of the grand families of the Chu royal city and above. Besides, he had heard from the third elder of the Tang family that their benefactor would either not be coming or would definitely attend the banquet personally. So it was impossible that the youth before him would represent him at the banquet. Considering all these factors, he concluded that the youth before him could not possibly have an invitation. Even if he did, it would be a forgery. Chapter 105. Faced with Tang Zhamping's question, Zhou Dongwang glanced at him and said, "I am not from any family." His tone was calm and unhurried. Just as Tang Zhamping heard Zhou Dongwang's words, he opened his eyes abruptly. The young girl standing beside Zhou Dongwang spoke again. "Elder Tang, although my big brother Zhou is not from any grand family in the Chu royal city, he indeed has an invitation. Otherwise, we would not have been able to enter." As the young girl spoke, Tang Zhamping looked at Zhou Dongwang with a mocking smile. "Is that so? So you have forged an invitation from the Tang family?" As he spoke, the corners of Tang Zhamping's mouth curled into a sneer. The cold light in his eyes became even sharper at this moment. Forged an invitation from the Tang family? Following Tang Zhamping's words, the surrounding grand family youths once again looked at Zhou Dongwang, and they could not help but reveal looks of pity and schadenfreude. If he had just snuck into the Tang family, he would at most be chased out, but if he forged an invitation from the Tang family, that is no small matter. What is this young man thinking? Could it be that he forged an invitation to bring Yang Zishi to the Tang family banquet, just to show off in front of Yang Zishi? Femme fatale, the ancients did not lie. The whispers of a group of scions from the grand clans entered the young lady's ears, causing her expression to turn ugly. The next moment, the young girl looked at Tang Zhamping with determination. "Elder Tang, my big brother Zhou would never forge an invitation." As she spoke, the young girl looked at Zhou Dongwang and said urgently, "Big brother Zhou, tell Elder Tang who gave you this invitation." "Umph." Before Zhou Dongwang could speak, Tang Zhamping snorted. "The patriarch of the Tang family has ordered that no one is to give invitations to anyone other than the grand families of the Chu royal city and above. That is to say, everyone here today, besides the benefactor of the Tang family, is from the grand families and above. Are you trying to tell me that you are here on behalf of the benefactor of the Tang family?" Tang Zhamping asked as he looked at Zhou Dongwang. "No," Zhou Dongwang said casually, his tone lazy and his gaze calm. From the beginning to the end, Zhou Dongwang did not reveal the panic that Tang Zhamping had expected. Without waiting for Tang Zhamping to speak, Zhou Dongwang's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly said, "Tang Liunyan, is this how the Tang family treats its guests?" Zhou Dongwang's voice was cold as he suddenly raised his voice, completely drowning out the commotion in the front yard of the Tang family mansion. "Tang Liunyan." Zhou Dongwang's words stunned the crowd of grand family disciples before they realized. Tang Liunyan was the name of today's host, the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family. Surnamed Zhou, not only did you forge the Tang family's invitation, but you also dare to call the Tang family's patriarch by his name. "Do you want to die?" He Lin said coldly with a gloating look in her eyes. However, upon hearing Zhou Donghuang's sudden raise of his voice, He Wui's expression, which was different from Lin's, became serious. Even Tang Zhamping's expression couldn't help but change slightly as an ominous premonition rose in his heart. Indeed, whether it was the first young master of the Grand Wei family, Wei Hongtao, the third young master of the Grand Tan family, Tam Li, or the patriarch of the Grand Zhang family, none of them had thought that Zhou Dongwang had forged an invitation to enter. Now, seeing Zhou Dongwang call the Tycoon Tang family's patriarch by his name, not only without any courtesy, but with a cold tone, they immediately realized that they had guessed correctly. As the youth's voice drowned out the commotion in the front yard of the Tang family mansion, the entire front yard became extremely quiet as everyone's gaze fell upon the youth. Previously, the youth had only attracted the attention of a group of grand family disciples. Now, even the gazes of a group of tycoon aristocratic families had landed on him. Who is this youth? How dare he call the Tang family's patriarch by his name? Many of the tycoon family disciples looked at the youth in white standing in the distance in surprise, and at the same time, they could not help but speculate about his identity. It's him. Just then, the first young master of the tycoon Shi family, Shi Yu, turned his head and finally noticed Zhou Dongwang, and his expression changed instantly. Xiao Yu, he is that Zhou Dongwang. Noticing Shi Yu's expression, the second master of the Shi family, Shi Yin, who was sitting at the side, seemed to have guessed something and asked with a serious expression. That's him. Shi Yu nodded with a dark expression. Young Master Dongwang. At the same time, as the host, the patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Lianyin, also knew from Zhou Dongwang's voice that Zhou Dongwang had arrived, and his eyes lit up. But then, thinking of Zhou Dongwang's cold tone and impolite words, his expression changed. 3 elders, the benefactor of the Tang family, is here. Now, I'll take my leave for a while. After hurriedly greeting the elders sent by the 3 elite tycoon families, Tang Lianyin did not wait for their reply before hurrying off in the direction of the youth. The head elder of the Tang family, Tang Yusin, and the second elder, Tang Yong, also greeted the people they were talking to and followed Tang Lianyin. In the quiet front courtyard of the Tang family mansion, only the rapid footsteps of Tang Lianyin and the 2 elders could be heard. Under the gaze of the crowd, the 3 of them came to the youth who had called Tang Lianyin by his name, and under the shocked and incredulous gazes of the crowd, they bowed 90 degrees to the youth. Young Master Dongwang. Their voices were filled with respect from the bottom of their hearts. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, the expression of the 10th elder of the Tang family, Tang Zhampeng, the patriarch of the He family, He Wui, as well as He Lin, Xie Tingting, and Zheng Qiuhe, especially Zheng Qiuhe, seeing the scene before her, could not help but take a step back. When she looked at the youth again, she could not help but shake her head and scream in her heart, "No, impossible, impossible. It can't be him." Today, before coming to the Tang family mansion, Zheng Qiuhe had dressed up for a long time. And the reason why she had spent so much effort dressing up was to get to know the youth that the Tang family had invited to the banquet. Although he did not know who the young man was, based on his strength, it was not difficult to judge that the young man's background was definitely not simple, and it was very likely that he was above the valley of the medicine masters. If she, Zheng Qiuhe, could fall in love with such a youth, just as her father, Zheng Donglai, had said, the Zheng family's meteoric rise would be just around the corner. And she, Zheng Qiuhe, would also fly up the branches and become a phoenix. In the future, even the emperor of the country of Yunyang would have to be respectful in front of her. However, Zheng Qiuhe would never have thought that. The youth invited by the Tang family was someone he had met long ago, and he was also someone close to Yang Zishi. At this time, no matter how slow Zheng Qiuhe's reaction was, she could still tell that this youth surnamed Zhou beside Yang Zishi was the youth that the Tang family had set up for today's banquet with great fanfare. She didn't dare to believe it, nor did she want to believe it, but she had no choice but to believe it. The performance of the 3 big shots of the Tang clan was enough to explain everything. What's going on? Isn't this young man someone with no status? Tang Lianyin, head elder Tang Yusin, and second elder Tang Yong of the Tang family are all bowing to him so respectfully? Who is he exactly? Such a person forged an invitation and snuck into the Tang family? Is the 10th elder of the Tang family joking? The scene before them caused the group of grand family members nearby to be stunned. The way they looked at the youth was completely different. Previously, they had looked at this youth in white with disdain, but now no one dared to look down on him. What a joke. Did they not see the 3 big shots of the Tang family bowing respectfully to this youth? Tang Lianyin, who had been wondering why the youth was so angry, heard the words of the surrounding grand family members, and his eyes narrowed, his expression changing. 10th elder, what's going on? Tang Lianyin looked at Tang Zhampeng and asked coldly. His tone was so cold that it seemed to cause the temperature of the entire Tang family residence to drop by a few degrees, sending chills down one's spine. When Tang Lianyin and the other 2 came over and bowed respectfully to the youth, Tang Zhampeng knew that he had kicked a metal plate, and his face turned pale. Now, seeing the Tang family patriarch look over with a dark expression, he immediately pointed to Helin beside him. Patriarch, it was she who told me that young Master Zhou snuck in without an invitation. At this moment, Tang Jianping only wanted to shirk all responsibility. Based on the current situation, the responsibility for this matter was not something he, a mere 10th elder of the Tang family, could bear. As for Helin, seeing that Tang Jianping was pushing the blame onto her, her expression changed completely. Uncle Jianping, I did tell you that he might have snuck in without an invitation, but I did not say that he forged an invitation. Just now, from start to finish, you were the one who said that he forged an invitation to enter. At this point, in her extreme shock, Helin immediately came to her senses. She could naturally see that Tang Jianping was trying to push the blame onto her. It was not a big deal to bear most of the responsibility in order to curry favor with Tang Jianping. But she did not dare to bear this responsibility. Who are you? Just as Tang Jianping was looking at Helin with a dark expression, wishing that he could slap her to death, Tang Liuyan looked at Helin with a slight frown. Clearly, he did not recognize her. Tang family patriarch, this is my daughter Helin. Beside Helin, the patriarch of the Grand He family, He Wui, who was already drenched in cold sweat, stood up and bowed respectfully to Tang Liuyan. And who are you? Tang Liuyan's frown deepened. Chapter 106. As the chief of a tycoon family, the grand family chiefs that Tang Liuyan usually came into contact with are basically all the chiefs of the elite grand families. He Wui was only the chief of a low-level grand family, and even if Tang Liuyan had met him on some occasions, he would not have any impression of him. Although Tang Liuyan did not recognize him, He Wui did not dare to show any displeasure. He forced a smile and said respectfully, Chief Tang, I am the chief of the Grand He family, He Wui. Chief of the He family? Tang Liuyan's gaze turned cold as he said in a low voice, Take your men and get out of my Tang family mansion. From today onwards, the Tang family will cease all cooperation with the He family. Any family that cooperates with the He family, from today onwards, the Tang family will no longer cooperate with them. At this point, Tang Liuyan turned his head slightly, his gaze sweeping across the entire front yard of the Tang family residence as he spoke loudly. He did not know if the Tang family had any cooperation with the He family, but he was sure of one thing. Among the families that cooperated with the Tang family, there would definitely be families that cooperated with the He family. Just as Tang Liuyan finished speaking, the entire front yard was filled with the sound of people inhaling sharply, and many of them could not help but sigh. The He family is finished. Where did this young man come from? The three most powerful people in the Tang family are all so respectful to him. Could he be someone sent by the benefactor of the Tang family to attend a banquet? Just now, the 10th elder of the Tang family, Tang Jianping, asked him that, but he denied it. Then who is he? In the country of Yinyang, there is no grand family with the surname Zhou, right? Could he be from a valley of medicine masters? The crowd of grand and tycoon families knew that the He family was finished when they heard Tang Liuyan's words. Some of the families that cooperated with the He family had already decided to stop all cooperation with the He family when they returned. He Wui was stunned. Helin was dumbfounded. They would never have dreamed that the chief of the Tang family, Tang Liuyan, would actually blacklist the Wang family just to stand up for this young man. It was certain today if Tang Liuyan's word spread, the Wang family's businesses in the Chu royal city would most likely be destroyed. Smack! A crisp slap sounded. After He Wui came back to his senses, he raised his hand and gave his daughter, Helin, a heavy slap. Helin was completely stunned by the slap. When her head was slapped askew, she subconsciously opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, mixed with a lot of broken teeth. He Wui's ruthlessness could be seen. Wicked girl, why aren't you kneeling down and kowtowing to young Master Dongwang an apology? He Wui cursed. He seemed to be furious, but his heart was filled with bitterness and helplessness because he had no choice but to save the He clan. Helin was not stupid, and naturally knew why her father, who had always doted on her, was doing this. Gritting her teeth and enduring the pain, she took 2 steps forward and knelt before Zhou Dongwang, begging for mercy. Young Master Dong Wang, I was blind. Please spare me. I beg you. Please. However, Zhou Dongwang did not even look at her. Seeing this, He Lin kowtowed to the young girl beside Zhou Dongwang. Sister Zishi, it's all my fault. I should not have been jealous of you. I should not have hit you when you're down. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please help me plead with young Master Dongwang to let the He clan off. I beg you. Please. He Lin kowtowed continuously to the young girl, and even when her head was bleeding, she continued to kowtow. She knew that one word from the young girl could save the He clan. When had the young girl ever seen such a scene? In the blink of an eye, a look of pity appeared on her face. At the same time, she subconsciously looked at the youth beside her. Zishi, some people can be so nice to you when you're in power, but when you're down, they can't wait to step on you. Before the young girl could speak, Zhou Dongwang said coldly, some people can be so kind to you when you're in power, but when you're down, they can't wait to step on you. In his previous life, he had roamed the universe for 1,000 years, and he had seen too many people like He Lin. For someone like her, even if Yang Zishi helped her today, she would not be grateful. Hearing this, the young girl's eyes flashed, and she nodded seriously. Brother Zhou, I understand. With that, no matter how much He Lin kowtowed and begged for mercy, the young girl did not look at He Lin again. This was because she believed in her big brother Zhou. Since her big brother Zhou said so, then her big brother Zhou must have his reasons. Get out. Tang Liunian looked at He Lin with disgust, then glared at He Wui and shouted. Immediately, He Wui paled in fear, and he hurriedly pulled He Lin away from the front yard of the Tang family household, not daring to stay any longer. After the He family father and daughter left, Tang Liunian looked at the 10th elder of the Tang family, Tang Zhanpeng, and said to the 2nd elder of the Tang family, Tang Yong, 2nd elder, he is from your branch, you deal with him. Tang Zhanpeng was a direct descendant of Tang Yong's branch, and in terms of seniority, he called Tang Yong uncle. Yes, patriarch, Tang Yong responded, and his eyes flashed with determination. He stepped forward, and under Tang Zhanpeng's despairing gaze, he struck out with his palm, killing Tang Zhanpeng instantly. From beginning to end, Tang Zhanpeng did not even have the time to beg for mercy before he died at Tang Yong's hands. Boom! Tang Zhanpeng's body crashed to the ground, his eyes still wide open. Perhaps, even in death, he had not expected that his careless mistake would result in him bearing such consequences. Following Tang Zhanpeng's death, the entire place fell silent. Although the patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Liunian, had stood up for the youth in front of the He family father and daughter, and they had already realized how important the youth was to Tang Liunian. But they had not expected that the 10th elder of the Tang family, Tang Zhanpeng, would be killed by the 2nd elder of the Tang family, Tang Yong, just because he had offended this youth. This was the 10th elder of the Tang family, a level 6 adept of Qi gathering. In any other family, he could support a grand family. And such a person had been executed by the Tang family because he had offended the youth in white before them. This youth, what kind of person is he? Now, even the 3 elders from the 3 elite tycoon families of the Chu royal city were looking at the white figure in the distance in shock. They knew very well. Even if Tang Zhanpeng had offended any one of them, the Tang family would definitely not execute Tang Zhanpeng. At most, they would punish him symbolically in front of them. The youth was dressed in robes whiter than snow, his features handsome, and his aura outstanding. Even though the Tang family had executed the 10th elder Tang Zhanpeng right in front of him, his expression was calm and unperturbed. The young girl stood beside Zhou Dongwang, looking at the dead Tang Zhanpeng on the ground, her eyes filled with shock. This was the 10th elder of the Tang family. The Tang family had killed him just to avenge her big brother Zhou. It looks like the benefactor of the Tang family's banquet today is big brother Zhou. Now, the young girl had already guessed this. Thump! Thump! Before the crowd could recover from Tang Zhanpeng's death, Zheng Qiuhua, the 3rd daughter of the Granzheng family, and Xie Tingting, the 2nd daughter of the Grand Xie family, were all so frightened that their legs gave way and they sat on the ground. Zheng Qiuhe and Xie Tingting would never have imagined that the young man beside Yang Zishi, whom they had joined hands with Yilin to kick him when he was down, would have such an identity. I'm afraid the Zheng and Xie families are in for it. Many of the signs of the grand families shook their heads as they looked at Zheng Qiuhe and Xie Tingting on the ground, but there were also many who were gloating. Many of them could not stand the actions of Zheng Qiuhe and Xie Tingting. Previously, whether it was the patriarch of the Grand Zheng family, Zheng Donglai, or the patriarch of the Grand Xie family, Xie Yixuan, they had been currying favor with the patriarchs of the tycoon families and had not noticed what had happened. Now that they had returned and witnessed the fate of the He family, they felt that the He family was unlucky to have offended such a troublemaker. But they had never imagined that their daughters would have offended this pair of youths together with Yilin. As the whispers of the scions of the grand families reached their ears, their expressions changed, and their eyes filled with fear and panic. The Zheng family? The Xie family? Tang Liunyan looked coldly at the two pale girls on the ground. From now on, the Tang family, as well as the families that work with the Tang family, will no longer work with the Zheng and Xie families. Now get lost. Before Zheng Donglai and Xie Yixuan could speak, Tang Liunyan had already ordered them to leave. Having learned their lesson from the He family, the two of them did not linger too much because they knew it was useless. They hurriedly supported their daughter and left the front yard of the Tang family's mansion. They walked towards the main gate, leaving behind only the backs of their hurried figures for the crowd. They knew that from now on, the Zheng and Xie families would be ostracized by the big families of the Chu royal city, just like the He family. The elite tycoon families of the Chu royal city, and even the Chu royal household, could ignore Tang Liunyan's words, but such families would never work with them. As for the families that were willing to work with them, they did not dare to disobey Tang Liunyan, the patriarch of the elite tycoon Tang family. When Zheng Qiuhe and Xie Tingting were taken away, they were still in a daze, and even pinched their faces in disbelief to make sure that they were not dreaming. But every time they felt a sharp pain, it reminded them that they were not dreaming, and that everything was real, especially Zheng Qiuhe, whose face was full of despair and regret. Chapter 107. In the front yard of the Tang family household. At this moment, the handsome young man in clothes that were whiter than snow and possessed an extraordinary bearing had undoubtedly become the focus of everyone's attention. Young Master Dong Wang, Lady Zishi, please. The patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Liunyan, bowed to Zhou Dongwang and Yang Zishi and personally led the way to the east side of the front yard, where the main table for the banquet was. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Liunyan respectfully led Zhou Donghuang to the main seat at the main table. Even the three elders of the top three families of the Chu royal city who had come today did not sit in that seat, only sitting in the lower position. Seeing this, many of the grand and tycoon families present could not help but exclaim, even if the king of the Chu royal family came personally, he would not be treated like this, right? At the same time, in the west side of the front yard of the Tang family household, in front of a round table, Chief Yang, your Yang family has produced a golden phoenix. A fat middle-aged man dressed in luxurious embroidered clothes sat at a table. He narrowed his small eyes as he looked at the other middle-aged man sitting at the opposite side of the table and said with a smile, this middle-aged man who was addressed as Chief Yang was none other than the chief of the Grand Yang family, Yang Yunji. He was also Yang Zishi's uncle. However, although the middle-aged fatty was smiling and talking to Yang Yunji, his small eyes on his fat face were filled with schadenfreude. The Yang family had indeed produced a golden phoenix. But that golden phoenix had been pushed out the door by the chief of the Yang family, Yang Yunji. As the fat middle-aged man spoke, the other people at the table looked at Yang Yunji with a strange expression, but more of a schadenfreude. As all the chiefs of the inferior grand families, if possible, they naturally did not wish for one of them to suddenly rise up and suppress them. Sensing the gazes of the others at the table, even though Yang Yunji tried to control his emotions, his face was still dark. Taking in a deep breath, Yang Yunji turned a deaf ear to the fat middle-aged man's words. However, His gaze could not help but land on the eastern side of the main table. A beautiful young lady who looked like she had come out of a painting was sitting beside the young man. Even Tang Liunyin, the patriarch of the tycoon Tang family, whom he had to look up to, was very respectful towards her. If I had not chased Zishi out of the Yang family, if Zishi was still in the Yang family, thinking of this, Yang Yunji let out a long sigh in his heart. He seemed to have aged a few years in that instant. A few months ago, for the sake of his own interests, for the sake of the family, he indirectly caused the death of his own brother and then expelled his niece from the Yang family. Later on, the young man by his niece's side had barged into the Shi family, injured the Shi family head Shi Ji, and killed the Shi family head Shi Hao. He was awe-inspiring and insufferably arrogant. At that time, he regretted it. Later on, due to the death of their patriarch, Shi Hao, the Shi family vented their anger on him and no longer supported the Yang family, causing the Yang family to return to its original state. At that moment, he was even more regretful. After doing so many things and paying such a huge price, in the end, it was all for naught. Head elder, is he the young man by Yang Zishi's side that Jiape mentioned, Zhou Dongwang? Chief Tian Xing of the Ren family asked in a low voice as he looked at Ren Xiong, the head elder of the Ren family. Back then, his daughter had told him that this young man had barged into the Shi family and not only defeated the Shi family head Shi Ji, but had also killed the Shi family head Shi Hao. But he did not believe it at all. After all, a young man of about 16 or 17 years of age, even if he was a disciple of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, could not possibly have such power. But today, seeing the scene before him, and thinking of what his daughter Rinjiape had said to him, he vaguely realized that it might not be nonsense. It's him. Just then, Ren Xiong, the head elder of the Ren family, finally regained his composure, and his lips curled into a bitter smile. Before they left the Ren family, I met him once. Now that I think about it, First Mistress reminded me that I would regret chasing them away. At that time, I only thought that First Mistress was just trying to scare me, but now it seems that she was not lying. And now, Ren Xiong truly regretted it. If he had not chased the young man and girl out of the Ren family, even if the young man had not joined the Ren family, he would have been of immeasurable help to the Ren family. That girl also reminded me, but I did not take it seriously. Ren Tianxing shook his head with a bitter smile. He knew that after today, there would be many people who would try to curry favor with the young man before him. In front of some of these people, he, the chief of the mid-level Grandren family, was nothing. Now we can confirm that the benefactor that the Tang family held this banquet to thank is this Zhou Dongwang. The second master of the Shi family, Shi Yan, said to the first master of the Shi family, Shi Yu, with a serious expression, looks like he really is a level 9 adept. Although Zhou Dongwang had defeated his father, the previous chief of the Shi family, Shi Ji. But after that incident, they could not be sure that Zhou Dongwang was definitely a level 9 adept, and they felt that Zhou Dongwang could be one of the best among the level 8 adepts. And today, realizing that Zhou Dongwang was the benefactor of the 3 Tang family members when they were attacked by a level 9 grizzly bear demon, Shi Yin was almost certain that this Zhou Dongwang was a level 9 adept. A level 9 adept. Shi Yu's mouth was full of bitterness. Whether Zhou Dongwang was a level 8 adept or a level 9 adept, the Shi family would not be able to avenge his father's death. But now that he knew that Zhou Dongwang was a level 9 adept, his heart was filled with despair. Who is he? How can someone from a small place have such a level of practice at such a young age? Shi Yu's eyes flashed with uncertainty. When the people I sent to Yunfeng Prefecture return, we will know if he is a native of Yunfeng Prefecture. If he really has no background, with his achievements at such a young age, he must have a big secret on him. Perhaps he accidentally obtained some treasure that allowed him to have such power at such a young age. A Khanate stage adept should not have the ability to leave behind such a treasure. But, according to the legends, a primal core adept might be able to leave behind such a treasure. Thinking of this, Shi Yu's eyes flashed. Of course, even if he has such a treasure, I, and even the Shi family, do not have the ability to snatch it away. We can only get someone else to do the dirty work. No matter what, it is impossible for me and the Sure family to obtain the treasure in his hands. Since that is the case, why not help him spread the news after confirming that he has the treasure? The Chu royal family, and even the imperial court of Yunyang country, will definitely be interested in the treasure in his hands. At this thought, Shi Yu's eyes were filled with passion. Shi Yu had never let go of his father's death, so a few months ago, he had already sent people to the inferior-level Yunfeng prefecture to investigate the young man's background. In the front yard of the Tang family household, at the main table on the east side, 3 elders, this young Master Dongwang, is the benefactor who killed the grizzly bear in the Lost Forest 10 days ago and saved the 3 of us. Not long after the young man sat down, Tang Lian introduced him to the 3 elders at the same table. As he spoke, his eyes flashed, and he added, "Young Master, Donghuang single-handedly killed the grizzly bear at its peak with a single blow." If Tang Lian's earlier words were said to have already shocked the 3 elders. After all, teaming up with Tang Lian and the other 2 to repel the grizzly bear and killing it were 2 completely different concepts. However, Tang Lian's next words caused the 3 elders to tremble. They looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. Single-handedly killed the grizzly bear at its peak with a single blow? This young man? Just as the 3 old men were still in shock, Tang Lian introduced them to the young man. The 3rd elder of the Ouyang family, Ouyang Zhen. The 2nd elder of the Lu family, Lu Shuyang. The 4th elder of the Lu family, Lu Zhongan. The Ouyang family, the Lu family, and the Lu family were the 3 most powerful families in the Chu royal city below the Chu royal household, the 3 elite tycoon families. And the 3 elders were all level 9 adepts who were no weaker than Tang Lian. Chief Tang, is what you said true? The 3rd elder of the Ouyang family, Ouyang Zhen, was the first to recover and asked with a serious expression. The other 2 elders looked at the young man in shock, obviously doubting Tang Lian's words. "Young master." Suddenly, an anxious voice rang out from the entrance of the front yard. The voice was so loud that it drowned out all the noise in the front yard and attracted everyone's attention. Fu! Hearing this hurried and familiar voice, Zhou Donghuang, who had been sitting calmly at the table, suddenly stood up from his seat. If Fu had not met with an urgent matter, he would not have come looking for him, and he would not have lost his composure like this. Young Master Dongwang. When Zhou Dongwang saw Fu, he realized that there was another person beside him. It was Lu Qinghu, the chief of the preeminent Lu family in the inferior prefecture capital of the Yunfeng prefecture. But now, Lu Qinghu was not only travel-worn, but also injured. What happened? Zhou Donghuang's expression changed. For months ago, he had asked Fu to find someone to send a message to Lu Qinghu on a Fergana horse, so that Lu Qinghu could personally send his mother Lin Lan and sister Yin Lu to the Chu royal city. And now, seeing Lu Qinghu injured, he could not help but have a bad feeling. Thump. Chapter 108. 4 months ago, he had formulated the concentration elixir and found out that it could help him increase the speed of his practice of the Lord of the Four Supremes to the maximum. Zhou Dongwang had asked Fu to find a courier station with Fergana horses to send a letter back to Yunfeng Prefecture and hand it to Lu Qinghu. At such a courier station, one could change messengers at each stop and change to a Fergana horse to continue the journey without having to worry about resting along the way. Under such circumstances, it would take at most a month for the letter to be sent from the Chu royal city to the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture and into Lu Qinghu's hands. And Lu Qinghu appearing in the Chu royal city at this time meant that he had rushed over on a Fergana horse. My mother and Xiaolu, where were they abducted? Who kidnapped them? Zhou Dongwang asked as he stared at Lu Qinghu. Although Zhou Dongwang was trying his best to suppress his anger, the onlookers could still hear the anger in his voice. Lu Qinghu said with a bitter expression, "Madam and Miss Yin Lu were kidnapped when we just entered the Central King's Ridge. Brother Freezing Wind, and I almost died at the hands of those people. It was Miss Yin Lu who threatened to kill herself at the critical moment, so they didn't kill us." Do you know who they are? Zhou Donghuang's eyes were cold, and his face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Kidnapped his mother? Kidnapped his sister? No matter who they were, they could not be forgiven. However, Lu Qinghu's words revealed a very important piece of information that calmed him down a little. Those people were worried that his sister Yin Lu would seek death. This also meant that even if his sister, Yin Lu, and his mother, Lin Lan, were taken away, they would not be in any danger in the short term. They said they were from the Fan family of Tianxiu City. Lu Qinghu said, "Now, Brother Freezing Wind has brought Zhou Han and Zhou Feng to Tianxiu City, and I am in charge of rushing to the Chu Royal City to inform young Master Dongwang." The Fan family of Tianxiu City. Tang Lianyan, the chief of the tycoon Tang family who had followed behind Zhou Dongwang, had wanted to say that the Tang family was willing to help the young man after hearing what had happened. But when he heard that the people who kidnapped Zhou Dongwang's family were from the Fan family of Tianxiu City, he instinctively shut his mouth. Tianxiu City wasn't a county city. Tianxiu City was different from a prefecture city that controlled a prefecture. It was just a city in the central ridge of the western Chu King Ridge. The western ridge of the Chu King had the Chu Royal City as its center, and the surrounding area, which did not belong to any prefecture, was the central ridge. And in the central King's Ridge, besides the Chu Royal City, there were many other cities that were directly governed by the Chu Royal household. There were 4 tycoon families in Tianxiu City, and one of them was the Fan family. Of course, the Fan clan's strength was not much weaker than the Tang clan's. This was because the Fan family only had 1 level 9 adept. However, the reason why Tang Linyan was wary of the Fan family was not because they were a tycoon family, but because of their close relationship with the Chu royal family. The wife of the prince of the Chu royal household, Princess Consort, was from the Fan family and was the elder sister of the current head of the Fan family. With such a relationship, even the top 3 tycoon families of the Chu royal city would not dare to offend the Fan family, let alone the Tang family. The Fan family? Although the 3 elders of the top tycoon families who had come with Tang Lianyan were all level 9 adepts of prominent backgrounds, when they heard that Zhou Dongwang's family had been abducted by the Fan family, they all shook their heads, and a look of pity appeared in their eyes. The other superior-level tycoon families whose strength was on par with the Tang family also shook their heads at this moment. As for the other families, they all felt that Zhou Dongwang would not be able to do anything to the Fan family. After all, the Fan family was backed by the master of the Western Chu Ridge, the Chu royal household. However, under the gaze of the crowd, Zhou Dongwang looked at Lu Qinghu and asked, "Do you know the way?" "Yes." Lu Qinghu nodded. He and Freezing Wind had parted ways near Tianxiu City, so he knew where Tianxiu City was and knew the way there. "Young Master Dongwang, that Fan family seems to be a tycoon family." Lu Qinghu reminded him softly, his eyes full of seriousness. Even a lowly tycoon family would have at least a level 8 adept holding down the fort. Although the youth before him was extremely talented, he did not think that the youth would have the ability to contend with a level 8 adept in less than a year. Young Master Dongwang. At this moment, the patriarch of the Tang family, Tang Lianyan, could not help but remind him, the Fan family of Tianxiu City is a tycoon family that is no weaker than our Tang family. In the Fan family, there is a level 9 adept and 3 level 8 adepts. Seeing that the youth did not even turn his head, Tang Lianyan continued, "The most frightening thing about the Fan family is not their status as a tycoon family, but their relationship with the Chu royal household. The consort of the Chu royal household, the wife of the lord of the Chu royal household, is the elder sister of the current patriarch of the Fan family. Because of this, although the Fan family is only a superior-level tycoon family, it has a very high status in the Western Chu Ridge." As he spoke, Tang Lianyan's eyes could not help but fill with fear. Even our LV family does not dare to offend the Fan family. The 4th elder of the LV family, LV Zhong'an, shook his head as he spoke. "Young man, although I do not know why your family was abducted by the Fan family, since it was done by the Fan family, you should accept your fate." The 2nd elder of the Lu family, Lu Shuyang, sighed. In the Western Chu Ridge, even an ordinary petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering would not dare to offend the Fan family. The third elder of the Ouyang family, Ouyang Jun, also spoke up. At this moment, the three level 9 elders of the three elite tycoon families of the Chu royal city all had expressions of fear on their faces. However, Zhou Dongwang did not seem to hear what the three of them said as he looked up at the sky. They're finally here. If they'd come any later, I would have stewed them all together. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed coldly as he muttered to himself. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words and seeing him look up at the sky, everyone present, including Lu Qinghu, Tang Liunyan, and the elders of the three elite tycoon families, instinctively raised their heads and followed Zhou Donghuang's gaze to the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! Almost at the same time that everyone raised their heads, two black figures appeared high up in the sky, as if they had transformed into two bolts of lightning, flying over from afar and only slowing down when they appeared above the Tang family household. Then, these two black figures suddenly swooped down, and wherever they landed, the signs of the Grand and Tycoon families all gave way. Boom! Kaboom! The two black figures landed on the ground like two huge boulders falling to the ground, shattering the two large round tables under their feet and causing a huge mess on the ground. At the same time, the entire front yard of the Tang family household shook as if there had been a violent earthquake. If one looked closely, they could see that under the feet of the two black figures, cracks had spread out like a spider's web, and the cracks were wide enough to fit an infant's fist. When the people present saw the two black shadows clearly, they were all dumbstruck. Even Tang Liunyan and the elders of the three elite tycoon families were no exception. Only when Zhou Donghuang's hand landed on Lu Qinghu's shoulder and he brought Lu Qinghu up to land on the back of one of the black figures did everyone come to their senses. Fu, send Zishi back. Zhou Donghuang looked down at Fu from above and, after giving the order, he looked at the black figure beneath him. His mouth moved, but no one present heard any sound. He was now speaking in the language of the beasts. Which direction? Zhou Donghuang asked Lu Qinghu in a low voice. That way. Lu Qinghu looked at the giant black eagle with a golden crown, and after suppressing the shock in his heart, he pointed in a direction. That was the direction of Tianxiu City. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, there was a strong gust of wind as the two giant black eagles flapped their wings and soared into the sky, once again turning into two bolts of lightning as they sped in the direction Lu Qinghu had pointed. Only when the two black shadows disappeared from their sight did the group of people in the front courtyard of the Tang family estate come back to their senses. That was Golden-Crowned Eagle. The Tang clan's third elder, Tang Yong, was among the group of people who had regained their senses relatively early. After he regained his senses, he exclaimed in shock, "It's the two golden-crowned eagles from the Lost Forest. Half a year ago, when I entered the Lost Forest to hunt, they stole my chi-gathering elixir." A patriarch of a tycoon family's eyes widened, and he let out a shrill cry as if he had seen a ghost. My God, why would those two golden-crowned eagles appear in the Chu royal city? Also, that golden-crowned eagle with the deeper golden crown on its head is actually willing to be that youth's mount? Even the king of the Chu royal family would not be able to make those two golden-crowned eagles his mount, right? That youth, who exactly is he? When the group of grand families and tycoon families came to their senses, their faces were filled with shock, and their eyes were filled with incredulity. Young Master Dongwang, Tang Liunyan swallowed hard. He had thought that he had overestimated that youth, but now it seemed that not only had he not overestimated him, but he had also underestimated him. The expressions of the elders of the three elite tycoon families weren't any better either. At this point, they did not dare to doubt Tang Liunyan's words. That youth had even tamed the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest, and it was normal that he had easily killed the level 9 grizzly bear. Big Brother Zhou. The young girl's beautiful face was also pale with fright. She had never imagined that. Chapter 109. The two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest were demons of petty consummation and were famous throughout the central ridge of the western ridge of the Chu King. Even the Chu royal household, which controlled the western ridge of the Chu King, was helpless against them. The imperial court of Yinyang had even specially sent a great consummation adept to the western ridge of the Chu king to deal with the two golden-crowned eagles, but they had returned empty-handed. Not only had they returned empty-handed, but many of the people accompanying the great consummation adept from petty consummation to level 9 of the Qi gathering had died. After that incident, there was basically no one around the Chu royal city who did not know the terror of the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest. Because of this, the group of people in the front yard of the Tang family mansion could not help but tremble when they saw the young man in white standing on a golden-crowned eagle and being escorted away by another golden-crowned eagle. This shock was even more intense than the reverence that Tang Liunyin, the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family, had for the youth. The Yang family has lost a great opportunity. Although Yang Yunji, the patriarch of the Grand Yang family, had long regretted kicking Yang Zishi out of the family, he had suppressed his emotions and did not show it. But now, he could no longer suppress it, and his face was full of regret. The more outstanding the youth was, the more he regretted it. Patriarch, I regret it so much. Rin Xiong, the first elder of the Grand Rin family, said bitterly as he looked at Tian Xing, the head of the Rin family. His wrinkled face twitched slightly. Rin Tianxing shook his head and smiled bitterly. He actually tamed the golden-crowned eagles? Sure Yu, the head elder of the Tycoon Shi family, still had a look of disbelief on his face. He could not believe that the youth had actually tamed the two golden-crowned eagles that were known as the masters of the Lost Forest. If he really was born and raised in the inferior prefecture of Yunfeng Prefecture, then how big of a secret does he have? How valuable must the treasures he has obtained be? Shi Yu's eyes were filled with passion as he thought about this. Although the banquet continued after Zhou Dongwang left, the crowd of Grand and Tycoon families did not seem to be paying attention. Under Tang Liunyin's warm hospitality, Yang Zishi and Fu only left after finishing their meal. After Zhou Dongwang had left, the elders of the three top Tycoon families bid farewell to Tang Liunyin and returned to their respective families to report what they had seen that day. The appearance of a youth who had the ability to tame the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest meant that another powerful force had appeared in the western ridge of the Chu King. Any family that obtained this force would be able to rise rapidly. Tianxiu City was a city that occupied an area similar to that of a mid-tier prefecture city. It was much larger than a low-tier prefecture city. But with the speed of the eagles in the skies, unobstructed, Zhou Dongwang and Zhou Donghuang family, the city of Tianxiu City of the peak, forest of Tianxiu City was. Of Star Saint City, Peak Saint Forest, however, with the golden-crowned eagle's speed and the unobstructed air, the outline of Tianxiu City appeared in their field of vision by the afternoon of the second day. We're here already? Lu Qingwang was still in a daze when he saw Tianxiu City. He had never expected to reach Tianxiu City from the Chu royal city in less than a day. It must be known that he had spent a whole 10 days on the Fergana stallion to rush to his destination with all his might. Young Master Dongwang, Freezing Wind, Zhou Han, and Zhou Feng have remained in Tianxiu City to keep an eye on the Fan family household, as well as gather information on Madame and Lady Yunlu. Shall we first find them and meet up with them? Lu Qingwang asked Zhou Dongwang respectfully as the golden-crowned eagles arrived above the gates of Tianxiu City. There's no need for that. Zhou Dongwang shook his head. Just find someone and ask where the Fan family household is. Zhou Dongwang looked at the other golden-crowned eagle and said in demon language, Little Gold, go and capture someone. Be careful. Don't kill him. I want him alive. Young Master, you want me to capture someone, but you don't want me to kill him. Isn't that a little too difficult? Little Gold said aggrievedly. Its claws were extremely sharp and could cut through metal like mud. To ask it to capture a human body and not kill him, was that not making things difficult for the eagle? Zhou Dongwang glanced at Little Gold and said slowly, I'll give you 10 breaths time. If I don't see anyone after 10 breaths time, I'll cut off your supply of Qi gathering elixir for a month. Whoosh! Almost as soon as Zhou Dongwang finished speaking, Little Gold spread its wings and retracted them. It transformed into a bolt of black lightning and flew straight into Tenchio City. After about 7 or 8 breaths, Little Gold returned. At the same time, it was holding a well-dressed young man in his claws. The young man's face was pale, and his entire body was trembling. He had been strolling along the streets, enjoying the cheers of the citizens of Tenchio City, but in the blink of an eye, disaster had befallen him. A giant black eagle had swooped down and carried him up into the sky. Young master, when I rushed down, I took a look. He was the best-dressed person on the entire street. I thought he knew more, so I caught him. Little Gold said to Zhou Dongwang. Fortunately, the youth did not understand Little Gold's words. Otherwise, he would have been traumatized and would never dare to wear good clothes on the streets again. Do you know where the Fan family household is? Zhou Dongwang looked calmly at the youth and asked directly. Even now, the youth was still in a daze, and his expression was one of shock. If you don't know, I'll let it go, Zhou Dongwang said lightly. Whoosh! Hearing Zhou Dongwang's words, the youth's expression changed, and he hurriedly pointed in the direction of Tenchio City. The Fan family household is on the east side of Tenchio City, against the east wall. The biggest household is the Fan family household. Thank you. Zhou Dongwang nodded at the youth and called out to Big Gold. Big Gold turned into a bolt of lightning and flew towards the Fan family household. As for the well-dressed young man, when Big Gold was about to leave, Zhou Dongwang instructed Little Gold, send him back, then follow me to the Fan family household. Therefore, the youth was sent back to the street by Little Gold in a few moments. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing Little Gold take to the skies and fly in the direction of the Fan family manor, the well-dressed young man was still in a daze. It was clear that he had been badly frightened. The giant black eagle that captured the Hua family and sent back has a golden crown on its head. It looks like the legendary golden-crowned eagle of the Lost Forest. Not far from the youth, a passerby murmured, now that you mention it, it does look like it. It's exactly the same as the rumors say. If that really is the golden-crowned eagle, the Hua family really got away with it. The Hua family is blessed by the heavens. Although the Hua family is a tycoon family, the 2 golden-crowned eagles in the Lost Forest are demons of petty consummation of the Qi gathering. If second young master Hua dies at their hands, the Hua family will not have the guts to avenge him. The youth was the second young master of the tycoon Hua family, another tycoon family in Tenchio City. Because he did not put on any airs, he respected the old and loved the young, so he was well-liked by the residents of Tenchio City. Golden-crowned eagles? Hearing the discussions of the people around him, the well-dressed youth shuddered, his expression changing drastically. Those 2 giant eagles are exactly the same as the legendary golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest. However, the young man's pupils quickly constricted. That youth and that middle-aged man are standing on one of the golden-crowned eagles. Who are they? The golden-crowned eagles are their mounts? Also, that youth asked me where the Fan family household is. From the looks of it, he doesn't look like he's going there as a guest. They're going to cause trouble for the Fan family? The Fan family household occupied a large area, much larger than the Tang family household in the Chu royal city. Of course, this was because this was Tenchio City and not the Chu royal city, so the land was more abundant. As a tycoon family, it was easy for the Fan family to occupy a large area. Within the Fan family household, there was a small dungeon used to imprison the Fan family disciples who had committed crimes. And now, in one of the cells of the small dungeon, a little girl of about 8 or 9 years old was tied to the wall. Her body was covered in wounds, and her breathing was weak. Creak! The door to the cell opened, and a sly and mean-looking old woman walked in. She squinted at the little girl and asked, "She still hasn't said anything?" NXIN, this girl is very stubborn. Even if we torture her to death, she might not confess. The middle-aged woman in the cell said with a bitter smile. The middle-aged woman held a thick whip in her hand, which was still dripping with blood, obviously from the little girl. Oof. The old woman snorted. In that case, let's change the method. Bring the woman who was brought back with her here and torture her in front of her. I want to see if she doesn't care about her own life or death, and if she doesn't care about that woman's life." As she said this, a cold light flashed in the old woman's eyes. "Old woman Exun, if you dare touch my mother, I, Yinlu, will haunt you even as a ghost." The little girl, who had been on the verge of death, said through gritted teeth, a cold light flashing in her dim eyes when she heard the old woman's words. "Oh, it seems that this little girl really cares about that woman." The old woman laughed, and so did the middle-aged woman. "Exun, I'll bring that woman over now." "No." Chapter 110. In the sky above the Fan family household, a youth dressed in snow-white robes stood atop the golden-crowned eagle, his hands clasped behind his back as he overlooked the entire Fan family household, his expression impassive. "Little Gold, tear down the Fan family household for me." The youth's gaze swept over the buildings beneath his feet as he spoke calmly to the other golden-crowned eagle. "Yes, young master." Little Gold's eyes lit up as he heard the youth's order, and he immediately swooped down towards the largest building. Boom! Kaboom! The golden-crowned eagle turned into a bolt of black lightning, and the buildings collapsed wherever it passed. Not a single building could withstand its impact. A petty consummation demon was like a petty consummation adept. Their chi could explode with the strength of 9 bulls and 1 tiger. The strength of 9 bulls and 1 tiger was more than 9,000 jin. Furthermore, as a demon, Little Gold had physical strength that far exceeded the limits of a human's muscles. In terms of explosive power, no petty consummation adept could compare to Little Gold. Even Zhou Dongwang, who was now a petty consummation adept, could not compare to Little Gold in terms of pure strength. The reason why he was able to suppress Little Gold in all aspects, and even suppress Little Gold and Big Gold's combined attack, was because he had used human martial arts techniques. Human martial arts techniques were enough to make up for the difference in physical strength between humans and demons. Of course, the bodies of some demons were too strong, and even a human of the same level with decent martial arts techniques would not be able to match them. For example, the grizzly bear that had died at the hands of Zhou Dongwang in the Lost Forest was invincible among the level 9 demons in the Lost Forest. Even the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family was no match for it. The grizzly bear's body was even tougher and stronger than the golden-crowned eagle's. Following Little Gold's attack, the entire Fan family household was thrown into chaos. In the blink of an eye, Little Gold had torn down nearly half of the Fan family household. Little Gold's speed was too fast. Coupled with its strength, no demolition team on Earth would be as efficient as it was. "What's going on? What's that? My God, that's an eagle." A group of people from the Fan family rushed out of the collapsed building. Their eyes were filled with fear when they saw the giant eagle still wreaking havoc in the Fan family mansion. Their expressions changed drastically. Gulp. Lu Qinghu, who was standing beside the young man, swallowed hard when he saw the scene in front of him. He was only able to stabilize himself with the young man's hand on his shoulder. "Young master, this eagle, what rank is it? Why did it feel like there was a faint sonic boom when it attacked?" "That is the mark of a great consummation adept." Previously, when he saw the speed of the 2 black eagles, it was not difficult for Lu Qinghu to judge that they were not weak, but he did not have a specific idea. Now that he saw one of the black eagles make a move, he was completely frightened. A sonic boom was the hallmark of a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering. In addition, only a force of more than 10,000 jin could create a sonic boom. And now, when this black eagle was tearing down the various buildings in the Fan family mansion, it occasionally made a sonic boom. That was why he asked Zhou Dongwang this question. It is a petty consummation demon, and because of the strength of the demon's body, its strength has reached the threshold of 10,000 jin of strength. Zhou Dongwang said unhurriedly. Although he was mentally prepared, Lu Qinghu could not help but gasp when he heard Zhou Dongwang say that the Black Eagle was a petty consummation demon. In that case, could it also be a petty consummation demon of the Qi gathering level? Lu Qinghu murmured as he looked down at the Black Eagle at his feet. "It is the big brother of the stupid bird that is attacking. What do you think?" Zhou Dongwang countered. Lu Qinghu was dumbstruck. Two petty consummation demons, and flying demons at that, had actually been subdued by this young Master Dongwang? How long had it been? This young Master Dongwang had already grown to this stage? Young Master Dongwang, have you already attained great consummation of the Qi gathering? Lu Qinghu asked Zhou Dongwang in a trembling voice, swallowing hard again. Great consummation of the Qi gathering? Zhou Dongwang shook his head. Just a little more. In another half a year, I should be able to attain it. Zhou Dongwang said this casually, but it shocked Lu Qinghu so much that his heart trembled. When he looked at the youth again, there was a sense of unfamiliarity in his eyes, as if this was the first day he had met the youth. Boom! Kaboom! Soon, all the buildings in the Fan family mansion that were of any height were torn down by Little Gold. There was a series of loud noises, and dust filled the air. Young Master, can you let me do such things in the future? Little Gold is having fun over there, and I'm just here watching. I'm bored. Big Gold said unhappily to the youth on its back as it watched Big Gold fly out from the cloud of dust. There will be opportunities in the future, Zhou Dongwang said lightly. Young Master, I did well, didn't I? Little Gold asked Zhou Dongwang excitedly after it returned, taking the initiative to ask for credit. SOSO, Zhou Dongwang said half-heartedly. You call this SOSO? Little Gold's eyes widened, clearly unconvinced. Why? Do you have a problem with that? Zhou Dongwang looked at Little Gold calmly, and Little Gold hurriedly looked away in fear, shaking its head. No, definitely not. At this critical moment, Little Gold thought of the Qi gathering elixir. If it angered this youth, and he was not given the elixir, would it not be a huge loss? Why did it leave the lost forest and follow this young man to fool around? Was it not for the Qi gathering elixir? Otherwise, why would it come out when it was so carefree and unfettered in the lost forest? About a quarter of an hour later, the dust that shrouded the entire Fan family mansion finally dissipated. At this time, Zhou Dongwang let Big Gold descend, lowering its altitude and appearing before the eyes of many of the Fan family members. Little Gold followed suit and descended. In a moment, a few sharp-eyed disciples of the Fan family saw Big Gold and Little Gold first. Look over there. Just now it was those two black eagles who attacked. That's right. It was them. Where did they come from? Why did they attack the Fan family mansion? The disciples of the Fan family clearly thought that the ones who had just attacked were the two black eagles in front of them. For a moment, their frightened gazes were filled with resentment. Young Master, what are they talking about? Big Gold asked Zhou Dongwang curiously when he noticed the Fan family disciples looking at him. They're saying that it was you and Little Gold who demolished the Fan family mansion together. Zhou Dongwang smiled. What? Hearing Zhou Dongwang's translation, Big Gold was furious. I didn't even do anything, and they say I did? Young Master, if you want to kill them later, let me do it. I, Big Gold, have never felt so humiliated in my life. Only Little Gold felt good. I didn't even feel good, and they dare say I did? I can't take this anymore. I can't. Just now, seeing that Little Gold had been able to demolish the Fan family mansion, Big Gold had been very envious and wanted to join in the demolition. However, its young master was on its back, so it did not dare to act rashly. But now, even though it had not done anything, the Fan family was saying that it had. How could it take this lying down? Golden-crowned eagles. Those look like golden-crowned eagles. Suddenly, a shocked exclamation came from the Fan family crowd, drowning out the voices of most of the people present. After a moment, more and more people, through careful observation of the two black eagles circling low in the air, realized that these two eagles looked exactly like the two legendary golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest. That's right. These are the golden-crowned eagles. My God, why would the golden-crowned eagles come to the Fan family mansion? No wonder I heard a sonic boom when these two black eagles destroyed the Fan family mansion. So these two black eagles are the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest, the overlords of the Lost Forest, demons of the petty consummation level of the Qi gathering. After confirming that the two black eagles circling low in the air were the two petty consummation golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest, The eyes and faces of the Fan family members were filled with fear. Why would the golden-crowned eagles destroy the Fan family mansion? Did you see that? There are two people standing on the back of the golden-crowned eagle with a deeper golden crown on its head. A youth and a middle-aged man. There really are people. I thought I was seeing things. My God, who are they? Using golden-crowned eagles as mounts. Even the king of the Chu royal household, who controls the entire western ridge of the Chu king, does not have the ability to tame these two golden-crowned eagles? When the group of Fan family members saw Zhou Dongwang and Lu Qinghu, they were naturally scared out of their wits. At the same time, they realized that the two golden-crowned eagles must have something to do with these two people. Patriarch! Patriarch! More and more Fan family members gathered, and soon, with a wave of greetings, a middle-aged man dressed in a silver robe with gold trim strode over from afar. This middle-aged man was of medium build, and his features were ordinary, but his eyes were bright and full of expression, as if he were the finishing touch. Behind a middle-aged man were two old men. One of the old men was an old woman. Patriarch of the Tycoon Fan family, Fan Chung, greets the two sirs. The middle-aged man in the lead came to where the two golden-crowned eagles were circling and bowed to the two people on the eagles' backs. Although his eyes were filled with rage, he did not dare to vent the anger in his heart in the face of the two golden-crowned eagles. He had once entered the lost forest with the people of the Chu royal household, and his chi-gathering elixir had been snatched away by the two golden-crowned eagles. Therefore, with just one look, he recognized them. Chapter 111. I wonder, how has the Fan family offended you two? Although the two men before him were unfamiliar faces, as the patriarch of a tycoon family, Fan Chung did not dare to be disrespectful and asked in a low voice. What a joke! The two men before him had come riding the golden-crowned eagles of the lost forest. How could they be ordinary people? Even the emperor of the Yunyang imperial court might not have the ability to make these two golden-crowned eagles his mount, much less his brother-in-law and the king of the Chu royal family. Of course, the two men before him might have used some special method to tame these two golden-crowned eagles, but even so, they were not people he could afford to offend. With a single command, the golden-crowned eagles had destroyed the Fan family household. It was clear that the golden-crowned eagles were completely obedient to their commands. From start to finish, Fan Chung did not think that the golden-crowned eagles had acted on their own accord, because he had never heard of two golden-crowned eagles leaving the lost forest, let alone leaving to attack a family. Even if the two golden-crowned eagles had wanted to attack a family on a whim, surely they would not have chosen the Fan family? From the lost forest to the Fan family's Tianqiu city, they not only had to pass through the Chu royal city, but also two other cities. Not to mention the clans in the latter two cities. There were more than 100 clans in the Chu royal city. 10 days ago, the Fan family forcibly took away a woman and a girl on the official road south of Tianqiu city, Lu Qinghu said in a low voice. He pointed to the old woman behind Fan Chung. That day, it was this old woman who led the team to capture them. The old woman was the second elder of the Fan family, Fan Qizhu. Earlier, she had felt that the middle-aged man on the back of the golden-crowned eagle looked familiar, but she could not recall where. Now that she heard his words, her expression changed to one of horror and disbelief. It's you. She had never dreamed that the man she had killed as easily as an ant 10 days ago would be standing on the back of the golden-crowned eagle, the master of the lost forest, looking down at her with the golden-crowned eagle as his mount. Who could tell her what was going on? Her! Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed coldly, and his mouth moved. In the next moment, the golden-crowned eagle, Little Gold, who had been circling by the side, suddenly flapped its wings and turned into a bolt of black lightning, heading straight for Fan Qizhu. Before she could react, it had already grabbed her and flown more than 100 meters into the air. The way Little Gold caught Fan Qizhu was completely different from when it caught the young man in luxurious clothes in Tianqiu city. As for the latter, it did not hurt him. But now, a pair of sharp claws directly pierced through Fan Qizhu's shoulders. When she was sent flying into the sky, blood sprayed through the air, dazzling to the eyes. No. Under everyone's gaze, Little Gold let go of Fan Chiju's sharp claws 100 meters up in the air. Fan Chiju let out a shrill cry and fell from the sky. Boom! Under the watchful eyes of the Fan family, Fan Chiju had only injured her shoulders before she flew up into the sky. But when she came down, she directly fell into a pile of meat paste, completely lifeless. Falling from a height of more than 100 meters, even a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering would have no chance of survival, much less a level 8 adept like Fan Chiju. Second elder, this. Everyone in the Fan family, including the patriarch of the Fan family, Fan Sheng, felt their scalps go numb and a chill shot up from their feet to their heads. A perfectly fine person had fallen to her death in the blink of an eye before their very eyes. At the same time that Fan Chiju fell to her death, Little Gold deliberately flew at a low altitude, circling around the Fan family, scaring them into a look of fear. Who did second elder offend? Many of the Fan family juniors looked fearful, and some of the more timid ones even wet their pants. Such a powerful demonic beast was something that even the entire Fan clan would not be able to contend against. More than 10 days ago, the woman and girl that were captured, I think it was the patriarch, who sent second elder to capture them. A direct descendant of the Fan family murmured softly, at the same time glancing at the patriarch of the Fan family, Fan Sheng. When Fan Sheng heard what he said, his expression changed instantly, and he glared at him as if he wanted to immediately flay him alive. Wasn't he just creating trouble for him by saying these words at this time? Fortunately, his voice was not loud, and the two people on the back of the golden-crowned eagle should not have heard him. However, what the white-robed young man on the eagle's back said next caused Fan Sheng to fall into complete despair. Did you send people to capture my mother and sister? Zhou Dongwang looked down at Fan Sheng indifferently, his tone calm, as if without any emotion. Sir, that Yun Lu is only from a small grand family. How could she be your sister? Fan Sheng took a deep breath and looked at the youth on the eagle's back, his expression uneasy as he asked, Ew, are you mistaken? Grand family? Zhou Donghuang's heart skipped a beat. No wonder even Freezing Wind had said that Xiao Lu's martial talent was not bad. So, Xiao Lu came from a grand family. Were they? Zhou Dongwang asked calmly. Just as Zhou Dongwang finished speaking, Fan Sheng hurriedly turned to look at the old man behind him. Head elder, quickly invite Madam and Lady Yun Lu over. Yes, patriarch. The old man responded and left. Sir, Fan Sheng looked at Zhou Dongwang uneasily. I didn't know that Madam was traveling with Lady Yun Lu, but I guarantee that the Fan family's target was only Lady Yun Lu, not Madam. However, Zhou Dongwang ignored him, standing quietly on the back of the golden-crowned eagle and waiting. After about 15 minutes, the old man returned, accompanied by a crafty-looking old woman and a middle-aged woman. Both of them had ugly expressions on their faces. They had never dreamed that. They had just followed the instructions of the patriarch of the Fan family to dig out the whereabouts of the item from the little girl's mouth, when the little girl's savior had arrived. Furthermore, it was a savior so powerful that the Fan family was no match for him. It really is a golden-crowned eagle. When their gazes landed on the two giant black eagles circling in the air, their pupils constricted, their faces filled with fear and shock. At this moment, they knew that the head elder had not lied to them. Now, the three of them were escorting a beautiful woman forward, and in the beautiful woman's arms was a little girl who was covered in wounds and on the brink of death. Xiao Lu, your brother is here. Hang in there. You must hang in there. Lin Lan's face was full of anxiety, and tears streamed down her face as her gaze never left the little girl in her arms. Mother! In the instant that he saw Lin Lan, Zhou Dongwang ordered Big Gold to fly towards Lin Lan, landing not far from her, and then leaping off the eagle's back with Lu Qinghu. Zhou Dongwang walked to Lin Lan's side, and when he saw the little girl in her arms, covered in wounds and covered in blood, his eyes hardened, and a murderous aura rose. Dongwang, look at Xiao Lu. You must have a way, right? Am I right? Lin Lan handed the little girl in her arms to Zhou Dongwang in a panic. After Zhou Dongwang took the little girl, he took out a small medicine bottle and poured the medicine into the little girl's mouth. Xiaolu, this is the wound-healing elixir that I made. Take it, and you'll recover in no time. Zhou Dongwang's tone was as gentle as water. Cough, cough, cough. The little girl swallowed the medicine with much difficulty and struggled to open her eyes. After seeing Zhou Dongwang, a bright smile bloomed on her young face. Brother, you're here? Xiaolu. Xiaolu protected Mother well. Xiaolu didn't let Mother get hurt. Cough, cough, cough. Brother, Xiaolu is so sleepy, so sleepy. Seeing Zhou Dongwang, the little girl heaved a long sigh of relief, then closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Zhou Dongwang took out a bottle of blood-staunching elixir with a serious expression. Bit by bit, he very carefully poured the elixir onto the exposed wounds on the little girl's body. It was fine at first, but when he saw that all 10 of the little girl's fingernails had been pulled out, he could no longer suppress his emotions. He suddenly raised his head, and his eyes were suffused with a thick scarlet red. Big Gold, Little Gold, kill everyone who is in this mansion. Leave the leader for last. After speaking to Big Gold and Little Gold, Zhou Dongwang carried the little girl and bade farewell to Lin Lan as they walked towards the main entrance of the Fan family mansion. Lu Qinghu followed closely behind. Just as the patriarch of the Fan family, Fan Cheng, was walking towards the main entrance of the Fan family mansion, he could not help but heave a sigh of relief, thinking that the Fan family had escaped the calamity. Perhaps he also knows of the relationship between the Fan family and the Chu royal family, and would not dare to go overboard. Fan Cheng thought to himself. However, just as the youth had taken a few steps forward, he saw the 2 golden-crowned eagles move. With a single attack, they killed the head elder of the Fan family and the old woman and woman beside him. Immediately after, the 2 golden-crowned eagles suddenly turned and flew towards him. Just as he thought he was going to die, he saw the 2 golden-crowned eagles glance at him coldly, then ignore him and charge towards the rest of the Fan family. And the Fan family, faced with 2 petty consummation demons of the golden-crowned eagles, were naturally powerless. In the blink of an eye, they all fell to the ground with blood-curdling screams. Quick, make them stop! Fan Cheng shouted as he looked at the youth gradually disappearing into the distance. My biological sister is the consort of the Chu royal family. The king of the Chu royal family is my brother-in-law. However, no matter how Fan Cheng threatened him, the youth completely ignored him and led his men out of the Fan family mansion, finding a nearby inn to stay in. Yin Lu's injuries were too serious, and she could not afford to travel. Even with the wound-healing elixir and blood-staunching elixir, she still needed to rest for a few days. On January 12, 1229 of the Ziyun era, the Fan family of Tianqiu City was completely wiped out. It was said that the culprits who had wiped out the Fan family were the 2 golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest. Chapter 112. With the wound-healing elixir that Zhou Dongwang had given Yin Lu's internal injuries had healed 70 to 80% in just 3 days, and she would be completely healed in a few more days. As for the wounds on Yin Lu's body, they had already scabbed over with Zhou Donghuang's blood-staunching elixir. Only the 10 fingernails that had been plucked off needed time to slowly recover. Big brother, I've already been awake for 2 days. Aren't you curious why the Fan family wanted to capture me? In the guest room of the inn, Yin Lu, who was lying on the bed, asked the youth sitting at the head of the bed with a mischievous smile. There's nothing to be curious about. Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. All I know is that you are my sister. That's enough. Then does Big Brother want to hear about my past? Yin Lu asked again. If Xiao Lu wants to tell me, Big Brother is naturally willing to listen. Zhou Dongwang smiled as he patted the girl's head. His gentle demeanor was completely different from the usual cold youth. Big Brother, Xiao Lu was the daughter of the patriarch of the Grand Yin family. When Xiao Lu was 5, a group of people came to our house. It was the Fan family. They killed Xiao Lu's parents, killed Xiao Lu's grandfather, and killed everyone in the Yin family. In the beginning, Yin Lu was still able to control her emotions. However, as she spoke to this point, her pair of small pink fists were tightly clenched together. Her face also tensed up, and her eyes shot out the light of hatred. An ordinary family, even a tycoon family, would not dare to wipe out an entire family, much less a grand family. But the Fan family was different. The elder sister of the patriarch of the Fan family was the consort of the Chu royal family. And with the support of the Chu royal family, they did not need to care about the ban imposed by the imperial court of Yingyang. Furthermore, even if the imperial court of Yingyang knew about this, they would turn a blind eye to it on account of the Chu royal family. This was the benefit of having a strong background. Xiao Lu's mother took advantage of the chaos to send Xiao Lu away from the Yun family household and gave Xiao Lu the item that the Fan family wanted to steal from the Yun family. Xiao Lu asked mother to go with Xiao Lu, but she refused. She insisted on living and dying with father. After that, Xiao Lu left for a very long time, far away, to avoid being hunted down by the Fan family, and ended up in Yinfeng Prefecture. After 4 years, I met Uncle Freezing Wind. Uncle Freezing Wind did not want to take me with him, but I saw him as my hope for revenge and insisted on going with him. Big brother, you don't know how happy I was when I attained level 2 of Qi Gathering, because I saw the hope of revenge. Later, when I saw my brother and mother, I felt at home for the first time. It's just that I didn't expect to be recognized by the Fan family when I followed my mother to find you. At this point, Yin Lu's face was full of guilt. Big brother, I should not have insisted on riding the Fergana horse with mother to the Chu royal city. If I had taken the carriage with mother, I would definitely not have been targeted by the Fan family. Silly girl, it has nothing to do with you. Zhou Dong Wang shook his head. Besides, mother is fine. On the other hand, you've been wrong this time. Big brother, let me take you to retrieve that thing. You have helped me take revenge for the Yun family, so I want to give that thing to you. Yin Lu said seriously. There's no need. Zhou Dong Wang shook his head again. I avenged you because you are my sister, and it has nothing to do with anything else. Since that thing belongs to the Yun family, it is yours. In the future, you will carry that thing with you. If anyone tries to snatch it from you, I will help you teach him a lesson. Zhou Dong Wang said with a smile. Big brother, that thing, although the Yun family treats it as a family treasure, they have studied it for a few generations without any results. If not for an uncle of mine who leaked the news when he was drunk, the Fan family would not have targeted it. Yin Lu shook her head and said, that thing is useless in my hands. Who knows, if I give it to you, you might be able to discover something. After all, Big brother is so powerful. As she said this, Yin Lu looked at Zhou Dong Wang with a face full of admiration. Big brother, accompany Xiao Lu to retrieve that thing. Yin Lu held Zhou Dong Wang's hand with both hands, shaking it as she spoke coquettishly. All right, Big brother will take you to retrieve that thing. Zhou Dong Wang agreed helplessly, and then asked, where did you hide that thing? In Nanzhao Prefecture. Nanzhao Prefecture was the superior prefecture on the way from Guangling Prefecture to the Chu royal city. Big brother will make arrangements for mother and Freezing Wind, and then I will bring you to Nanzhao Prefecture. After informing Yin Lu, Zhou Dong Wang left Yin Lu's room to look for Freezing Wind, Lu Qinghu, and the others. Now, Freezing Wind had already brought Zhou Han and Zhou Feng to meet up with him. The three of you, I will get little gold to send you and my mother to the Chu royal city first. Zhou Dong Wang looked at Freezing Wind, Zhou Han, and Zhou Feng. When you reach the Chu royal city, meet Fu, and he will arrange accommodations for you. As the three of them acknowledged respectfully, Zhou Dong Wang looked at Lu Qing. As for Chief Lu, you can return to the Yunfeng Prefecture capital first. Young Master Dong Wang. Lu Qinghu gritted his teeth and knelt before Zhou Dong Wang. In the future, I would like to follow you and serve you faithfully. You're the head of a family. Why would you want to follow me? Zhou Dong Wang shook his head. I can leave the Lu family to my second brother, Lu Bao. I would like to follow you, young Master Dong Wang, to broaden my horizons. Lu Qinghu said seriously. Every time he saw the youth before him, he was able to give him a different kind of shock. In such a short time, the youth had actually become a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering. As for the improvements of everyone around the young man, he was both shocked and envious of them. Although being the head of the Liu family was impressive, it was not as enticing as attaining the legendary Khanate stage. He always felt that if he followed this youth, he would have a chance of attaining the Khanate stage in the future. Zhou Dongwang looked deeply at Lu Qinghu, and while Lu Qinghu was feeling uneasy, he said casually, "You should make a trip back to the Liu family first. If you do not regret it on the way back, after you have settled your affairs with the Liu family, come find me in the Chu royal city." "Thank you, young Master Dongwang." Seeing that Zhou Dongwang had agreed, Lu Qinghu was overjoyed. "Mother, you go back to the Chu royal city first. Xiao Lu and I will be back in 2 days." Zhou Dongwang said to Lin Lan with a smile as he personally escorted her onto Little Gold's back. "Dongwang, Mother knows that you are very capable now, but you still have to be careful and remember not to be arrogant," Lin Lan said with a serious expression. She was obviously worried that Zhou Dongwang would become too arrogant and out of control because of his current capabilities. "You have to know that there is always someone better than you out there." What she did not know was that Zhou Dongwang had 1,000 years of experience and knew this better than she did. "Mother, don't worry, I know. Xiao Lu, look after your brother." Before leaving, Lin Lan looked at Yin Lu and said dotingly, "Mother, I will." Yin Lu giggled. "Go." Following Zhou Dongwang's order, Little Gold carried Yun Lan, Freezing Wind, Zhou Han, and Zhou Feng into the air and headed in the direction of the Chu royal city. After watching Lin Lan and the rest leave, Zhou Dongwang picked up Yin Lu and climbed onto Big Gold's back, letting Big Gold fly in the direction Yin Lu had pointed. With Big Gold's speed, it only took them a day and a night to reach the place Yin Lu had pointed out, in a bamboo forest outside a small town. "I remember. It seems to be here." It had been more than 3 years, and Yin Lu had only been 6 years old at the time. Although she had matured after the tragic events, her memory was still somewhat fuzzy, and she had searched half the bamboo forest before she found the package she had buried that year. The package was not big, only the size of an adult's fist. When Yin Lu opened the package, a small box with a rusty metal frame appeared. Yin Lu looked at the small box in her hands with a complicated expression. It was the thing in this box that had caused her family to be ruined. "Big brother." Yin Lu handed the box to Zhou Dongwang, forcing a smile on her face. "Take a look and see if it's of any use to you." Zhou Dongwang took the box and opened it to see what looked like a metal ball the size of a baby's fist, emitting a bone-chilling aura. "This is a sword sphere." After picking up the small metal ball, Zhou Dongwang's eyes could not help but narrow. "This thing, how did it appear in Yunyang country?" In Zhou Dongwang's view, not just in Yunyang country, but even in the Valley of the Medicine Masters, this thing should not have appeared. This thing could only be made by adepts of the Primal Core stage and above with the Samadhi fire. Once activated, it could transform into a sword and attack. The sword sphere was made by adepts of the Primal Core stage and above, and it was given to juniors of lower levels of practice to protect themselves. Of course, activating the sword sphere also required technique. Without technique, even a Khanate stage adept would not be able to activate the sword sphere. "Big brother, you recognize this thing?" Yin Lu asked in surprise. "You just said it's called a sword sphere." Xiao Lu watched carefully. Zhou Dongwang smiled at Yin Lu, and then activated the qi in his body. Using a special technique, he infused the qi into the sword sphere in his hand. And after the qi was infused into the sword sphere, Zhou Dongwang felt a devouring force coming from the sword sphere, frantically devouring the qi in his body. Only when half of the qi in his body had been devoured did Zhou Dongwang stop supplying the qi to the sword sphere. Then, the sword sphere flashed in Zhou Donghuang's hand and turned into an unassuming small metal sword, which shone with a cold light that was visible to the naked eye. Swish! With a wave of Zhou Donghuang's hand, the small metal sword flew out and circled the bamboo forest. In an instant, it had cut all the bamboo with lightning speed, and then it turned back into a small metal ball and returned to his hand. That blow just now no one below the Khanate stage can withstand it. Chapter 113. This, when she had first seen the small metal ball in the youth's hand turn into a small metal sword, Yin Lu had been completely stunned, as if she had seen a ghost. In the blink of an eye, the small metal sword had disappeared, causing her to be stunned once again. It was only when the small metal sword turned back into a small metal ball and returned to the youth's hand that she regained her senses. At the same time, she heard a rustling sound next to her ear. She turned around and found that all the bamboos in the huge bamboo forest were broken, and the cuts were smooth. It was obvious that they had been cut by a sharp weapon. "Big brother, did you do this?" Yin Lu stared at the youth in front of her, her face full of shock and disbelief. "More accurately, I did it with it." Zhou Dongwang weighed the small metal ball in his hand and smiled as he spoke. "It?" Yin Lu stared at the small metal ball with wide eyes. "Big brother, did I see wrongly just now? I think, I saw it suddenly turn into a sword." "You didn't see wrongly, it really did turn into a sword." Zhou Dongwang shook his head and smiled. "Xiao Lu, this small metal ball is a sword sphere. Logically, it should not have appeared in a small place like Yunyang country. I don't know where the ancestors of the Yun family obtained this sword sphere." "Sword sphere?" Yin Lu's face was full of confusion. "On the way back, Big Brother will explain." Zhou Dongwang called out to Yin Lu and carried her up the golden-crowned eagle Big Gold's back. But he soon realized that after a while, Big Gold did not move at all, as if it was in a daze. "Big Gold, let's go." Instantly, Zhou Dongwang impatiently urged Big Gold in the language of beasts, and the latter made a sound of assent before flapping its wings and rising into the air. However, as it soared into the sky, its sharp eyes were filled with terror. Just now, when the small metal ball in the youth's hand had turned into a small metal sword, it had been frightened. After witnessing the speed and destructive power of the small metal sword, it realized if the youth had thrown that sword at it, it would definitely have died. "Young man, that thing just now, what was it? Why does it feel so scary?" Finally, Big Gold could not help but ask the youth, "Just now, I felt that I was completely powerless to resist. Even if I fly more than 100 meters in the air, as long as that sword can hit me, I feel that I won't be able to block it." Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. "That strike just now, unless it is an adept who has entered the Khanate stage or a Khanate demon. Anyone below the Khanate stage, unless it is an adept with special defensive gear or a demon with an extremely strong defense, would be killed in one blow. So scary." Big Gold sucked in a breath of cold air, and its wings tightened. "What on earth is that thing?" "Sword pellet." As Zhou Dongwang introduced them to Big Gold, he also used human language to explain to the little girl in his arms. The sword sphere is something that only adepts of the primal core stage and above can produce. It requires the use of samadhi fire, which is condensed from inner yuan, in conjunction with special metals. Within the sword sphere, there are many complicated formations. Usually, the sword sphere is in the form of a metal sphere, and only when the formations are activated will it become a sword. And once the sword sphere is activated and becomes a sword, the more chi is injected into it, the stronger it is, and the more power it can display. "Wow, Big Brother, you know so much better." Yin Lu lifted her little head and looked at the youth with a face full of admiration. "Xiao Lu, this sword sphere is temporarily not very useful in your hands. Why don't you leave it with Big Brother and let him keep it for you?" Zhou Dongwang asked as he smiled and stroked the girl's head. The sword sphere belonged to the girl, and if she insisted on taking it back, no matter how much he was tempted, he would not force her. The sword sphere was only of some use to him before he entered the primal core stage, but once he did, the sword sphere would be no different from scrap metal. In fact, if he wanted to, he could produce a large number of sword spheres by himself. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could obtain the special metals needed to produce the sword sphere. Otherwise, even if he had the ability to produce the sword sphere, he would not be able to do so. "Big Brother, I wanted to give it to you anyway," the girl giggled. "Originally, I was worried that it would be useless in your hands, Big Brother, but now that I know it can help you, Xiao Lu is very happy. Not only can this sword sphere help you now, but it can also be of great help." Zhou Dongwang looked at the girl and smiled affectionately. Now that he had the sword sphere, it was not much different from playing games on Earth. Of course, the sword sphere could not be used indiscriminately. After all, each use of the sword sphere required a large amount of chi, and if only a small amount of chi was injected in the sword sphere, it would not have much power. With big gold speed, it took only 2 days for Duan Ling Tian to bring Yun Lu back to the Chu royal city, to the backyard of room number 3 of Chu Xiao. By the time they returned to Chu Xiao, it was already late at night, and the backyard was so dark that they could not even see their fingers. Young Master, Big Brother. The golden-crowned eagle, Little Gold, had been lying lazily in the backyard, dozing off, but when he saw that his young master and big brother had returned, he immediately stood up with a shiver. Golden-crowned eagles had very good night vision, and even without light, Little Gold could still see very clearly. After Zhou Dongwang left with Yin Lu, Big Gold looked at Little Gold and told him about the sword sphere, which gave Little Gold such a fright that he could not help but shiver. That means with young master's current ability, if he activates the sword sphere with all his might, even an ordinary Khanate stage adept or Khanate stage demon would not be able to escape death. After being frightened, Little Gold remembered that the person who possessed the sword sphere was its young master, and not anyone else, and its eyes lit up even more. You idiot, don't you think it's strange that young master even knows how to activate a sword sphere? Big Gold said exasperatedly. That's right, it's a little strange. With Big Gold's reminder, Little Gold finally reacted. Furthermore, the chi-gathering elixir that young master has is far better than the ones that we snatched in the past. The best of the chi-gathering elixirs that we snatched in the past could only increase the sensitivity to chi by 1-fold, but the chi-gathering elixir that he gave us can increase the sensitivity to chi by 10 times. Little Gold said, "These 2 days, I have a very strong feeling that if we follow him, perhaps the Khanate stage will not be the end of our lives." Big Gold muttered, "Big brother, what you mean is that if we follow young master, we may even have a chance to enter the legendary Primal Core stage and become Primal Core demons." Little Gold sucked in a cold breath. After Zhou Dongwang brought Yin Lu back, he went to look for Fu and found out that Fu had booked the second guest house next door for Freezing Wind, Zhou Han, and Zhou Feng. He also moved in with them. "Young master, I have already arranged for Madame to stay in this room. The largest master room in the middle of the second guest house is reserved for you." Fu said, "As for young mistress, she can stay with Madame, or she can stay in the room that young mistress Ren previously stayed in." Fu said again, Very well arranged." Zhou Dongwang nodded in satisfaction. "Xiao Lu, mother must be asleep by now. You can sleep in this room first. Tomorrow, I will come look for you and mother." Zhou Dongwang smiled at Yin Lu as he pointed to the room that young mistress Ren Jiape had previously slept in. Yin Lu nodded sensibly, then watched as Zhou Dongwang and Fu walked out of the main door of the guest house before returning to her room and closing the door. "Young master." After entering the second guest house next door, Fu looked at Zhou Dongwang and frowned slightly. "I have heard from Big Brother Long about the Fan family in Tianxiu City. The Fan family is related by marriage to the Chu royal family, and the wife of the current king of the Chu royal family, the consort, is the elder sister of the current chief of the Fan family, Fan Sheng. Now, Fan Sheng is dead, and the Fan family has been destroyed. In a few days at most, the news will reach the Chu royal city and the Chu royal family. When that time comes, the Chu royal family will investigate, and they will know that it was the 2 golden-crowned eagles who did it. And a few days ago, the 2 golden-crowned eagles arrived at the Tang family house to take you away, and many people saw it. This Chu Xiao is a subsidiary property of the Chu royal family. If we continue to stay here, will we be putting ourselves in danger?" As Fu said this, his eyes were full of fear. That day, when I left the Tang family house, the chief of the Tang family, Tang Liunyan, reminded me, "There's a great consummation adept in the Chu royal family, and he asked me to tell you to be careful." Obviously, Tang Liunyan had already expected that Zhou Dongwang would offend the Fan family, and thus the Chu royal family. "A great consummation adept?" Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. Even without the sword sphere, Even if the Chu royal family had a great consummation adept, he would not be afraid, much less now that he had the sword sphere. His current level of practice was already close to great consummation of the Qi gathering, and coupled with the extreme strength of his muscles, he could unleash power comparable to that of an ordinary great consummation adept. With the various first-grade techniques in his memory, and the Qi-increasing elixir made from the gallbladder of the grizzly bear, in the country of Yinyang, there was not a single adept below the Khanate stage who could be his match. Fu understands. Seeing the confident smile on his young master's face, Fu's expression changed, and the fear in his eyes disappeared, and he regained his composure. Seeing his young master like this, he knew his young master was not afraid of the Chu royal family. Since that was the case, he had nothing to worry about. 3 days later, the news of the Fan family of Tianqiu City being destroyed finally reached the Chu royal family, and even spread through the streets and alleys of the Chu royal city. Immediately, the entire Chu royal city was shaken. The Fan family of Tianqiu City has been destroyed? My God, who did this? Does the perpetrator not know the relationship between the Fan family and the Chu royal family? Chapter 114. The Tang family household. The Fan family has been wiped out? Everyone in the clan was killed by the bird-type demonic beast? Hearing the news from Tianqiu City, the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family, Tang Lianyan, was stunned. He knew that the youth's trip would definitely provoke the Fan family and offend the Chu royal family. But he had never imagined that the youth's trip to Tianqiu City would actually wipe out the Fan family. That was a superior Tycoon family that was no weaker than the Tang family. Patriarch, do you think it was young Master Dongwang's doing? The second elder of the Tang family, Tang Yong, asked. Besides him, do you think it could be anyone else? Tang Lianyan smiled bitterly. Furthermore, the news from that side said that the entire Fan family died at the hands of flying demons. He must have ordered the 2 golden-crowned eagles to do it. 2 flying demons of petty consummation of the Qi gathering could easily destroy the Fan family. Tang Lianyan shook his head as he spoke. Is he not afraid of offending the Chu royal family? Tang Yong smiled bitterly. The Chu royal family? Tang Lianyan shook his head. Even if the Chu royal family knew that he was behind this, they might not dare to make trouble for him, even if he is staying in the Chuxiu and under the Chu royal family. Although there is a great consummation adept in the Chu royal family, can he do anything to the 2 golden-crowned eagles? As long as young Master Dongwang gives the order, the great consummation adept of the Chu royal family can only watch helplessly as the men of the Chu royal family are slaughtered by the 2 golden-crowned eagles. Unless they have the confidence to kill young Master Dongwang first. But who knows if the 2 golden-crowned eagles will continue to attack the men of the Chu royal family after they kill young Master Dongwang. That year, the great consummation adept that the imperial court of Yinyang specially sent to deal with the 2 golden-crowned eagles was even more powerful than the great consummation adept of the Chu royal family. But he still could not do anything to the 2 golden-crowned eagles. Not only could he not do anything to the 2 golden-crowned eagles, but several of the petty consummation and level 9 adepts who accompanied him died. From the beginning to the end, the great consummation adept of the Yunyang imperial court could only look on helplessly. Although he was furious, he could not do anything. I heard that he was so angry that he vomited blood. Obviously, Tang Lian knew that the imperial court of Yinyang had sent men into the Lost Forest to deal with the 2 golden-crowned eagles. Can the Chu royal household just swallow this pain? Tang Yong was shocked. The Chu royal household will definitely not dare to make a move, but they will definitely not let this matter rest. If I were the king of the Chu royal household, I would report this matter to the imperial court of Yunyang country and let it be resolved. If the imperial court of Yunyang takes action, the imperial court of Yunyang royal family, of Yunoff of dynasty, Yunyang of Yunyang of Yunyang of family. If the imperial court of Yunyang does not take action to resolve this matter, once the news spreads, their reputation will be tarnished. So, I guess, the imperial court of Yunyang will definitely take action against young Master Dongwang and the 2 golden-crowned eagles. Tang Lianyan said with certainty. When the Tycoon Tang family received the news of the Fan family of Tianqiu City being wiped out, The other tycoon families and even grand families in the Chu royal city also received the news. All of a sudden, the clans were shocked. Of course, it was not difficult for them to guess who had wiped out the Fan family. The scene of the two golden-crowned eagles descending from the lost forest that day at the Tang family banquet was still fresh in their minds. The entire Fan family was killed by flying demons. It must have been those two golden-crowned eagles. However, although they could be sure that the youth had something to do with the annihilation of the Fan family, most of the other families knew that even so, the Chu royal family would not dare to act against the youth. Regardless of the unfathomable background that the youth might have, the two golden-crowned eagles were enough to intimidate the Chu royal family into not daring to act rashly. If it had been two petty consummation beasts of the Qi gathering level, it would still be manageable, and the newly advanced great consummation adept of the Chu royal family would be able to kill them. However, two petty consummation flying demons were not something that a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering could easily kill, unless the great consummation adept was skilled in long-range attacks, such as using a bow or other similar weapons, and he had to have a precious bow or a precious crossbow. This was because an ordinary crossbow would not be able to withstand the power of a great consummation adept, and would not be able to unleash the full power of a great consummation adept. The Chu royal family. As the ruler of the entire western ridge of the Chu king, the Chu royal family occupied a vast area, almost 10 times the size of the Tycoon Tang family's mansion. And now, the atmosphere in the Great Hall of the Chu royal family was extremely somber. At the head of the Great Hall, a middle-aged man wearing a dark gold robe embroidered with many four-clawed golden dragons sat there, his expression as gloomy as still water. This middle-aged man was burly, with a broad face and fierce eyes, and he exuded a dignified aura. This middle-aged man was the current Chu king of the Chu royal family, Xiang Xiong. Now, beside Xiang Xiong stood a beautiful woman dressed in a dark gold phoenix robe, elegant and poised. The beautiful woman gave off the impression that she was not young, but her face was devoid of wrinkles, as if time had not left any traces on her face. However, the beautiful woman's face was still streaked with tears, and her beautiful eyes were red. It was obvious that she had just cried, and she was the wife of the Chu king, Xiang Xiong, the Chu royal consort, Fan Ji. Commander Shui, how is the investigation going? Xiang Xiong asked in a low voice as he looked at the middle-aged man standing closest to the front of the hall. The middle-aged man was about 50 years old, with a square face and a dignified expression. He wore silver light armor, and a long sword hung from his waist. And he was the commander of the Chu Royal City Guard, Shui Ming. He was also one of the petty consummation adepts of the Chu royal family. Your Highness, the investigation is basically complete. Faced with Xiang Xiong's question, Shui Ming hurriedly replied, that youth called Zhou Dongwang once saved the lives of the Tycoon Tang, family chief Tang Linyan, as well as the head elder and second elder of the Tang family in the Lost Forest. And because of this, the Tang family specially held a banquet to thank him. During the banquet, the young man heard that his mother and sister had been kidnapped by the Tianxiu City's Fan family, so he summoned the two golden-crowned eagles from the Lost Forest. He rode the more powerful golden-crowned eagle and left the Tang family mansion. At this point, Shui Ming paused and looked at the Chu royal consort, Fan Ji, before continuing. The next afternoon, the entire Fan family was wiped out. Calculating the time, with the speed of the golden-crowned eagles, he indeed arrived at the Fan family around that time. Moreover, the fatal wounds on the bodies of the Fan family were all inflicted by flying demons. From this, we can conclude that the annihilation of the entire Fan family had something to do with that youth. At least, if not for the youth's orders, the two golden-crowned eagles would not have wiped out the entire Fan family for no reason. Shui Ming finished in one breath. Even the great consummation adept sent by the Imperial Court of Yunyang was helpless against the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest. A youth actually managed to subdue them? Xiang Xiong's expression was extremely ugly. Have you found out where that youth came from? Your Highness. Just then, an old man in a long gray robe stepped forward and said respectfully to Xiang Xiong, There is one person who knows the details of that youth's background. Who? Xiang Xiong looked at the old man with a piercing gaze. The first young master of the inferior tycoon Shi family, Shi. The old man said, "This morning, Shi came to look for me and said that if your highness wanted to know more about Zhou Dongwang, you could summon him to the Chu royal family." The first young master of the Shi family, Shi? Xiang Xiong raised an eyebrow. "In that case, sixth elder, please bring him here." "Yes." The old man acknowledged and left. After the old man left, Xiang Xiong's gaze swept across the group of people in the great hall, including Xue Ming, and he said in a low voice, "Based on the current situation, that youth has extraordinary ability and is at least a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have killed the grizzly bear of the Lost Forest with a single blow, as the Tang family said. However, even if he was a great consummation adept, it would be almost impossible for him to subdue the two golden-crowned eagles with brute force, much less a petty consummation adept. Therefore, it is very likely that he has mastered some special method to subdue the two golden-crowned eagles. Even in the history of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, there has never been an adept of such ability at such a young age, much less in the country of Yinyang. He either has a formidable background, or he must have had some heaven-defying fortuitous encounter." As he spoke, Xiang Xiong's eyes burned with passion. "Now, let's wait for the first young master of the Shi family, Shi, to come and see if we can get any useful information." About 15 minutes later, sixth elder of the Chu royal family returned with a youth in embroidered robes. This youth in embroidered robes was none other than the head elder of the tycoon Shi family, Shi. "Greetings, your highness, your highness." After Shi entered, he bowed respectfully to Xiang Xiong and Fan Ji. "Shi, I heard that you know about Zhou Dongwang's background?" Xiang Xiong asked straightforwardly. Without waiting for Shi to speak, he continued, "If you can provide valuable information, the Chu royal family will not mistreat you. Your highness, my father, Shi Hao, was killed by Zhou Dongwang." Shi's expression darkened slightly, and he said angrily, "After that, I sent people to the inferior prefecture capital of Yinfeng Prefecture to investigate Zhou Donghuang's background." Chapter 115. They split up to investigate, but the results were the same. That Zhou Donghuang had just turned 18 this year, was born and raised in the inferior-level Yinfeng Prefecture, and did not have much background. Shi paused for a moment. Yinfeng Prefecture? Inferior-level prefecture? Born and raised here? After hearing Shi's words, the entire hall fell silent. From the Chu king Xiang Xiong and the Chu royal consort Fan Ji to the commander of the Chu royal city guard Xue Ming and the elders of the Chu royal household, everyone was stunned. The youth who had tamed the two golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest and destroyed the entire Fan family of Tianqiu City was only born and raised in an inferior-level prefecture? That's impossible. Xue Ming was the first to recover and shook his head. For someone born and raised in an inferior-level prefecture to attain level 6 of Qi gathering in his lifetime, he would already be considered a genius. How could he have achieved this? I think it's impossible, too. Impossible. Following Xue Ming's words, the elders of the Chu royal household all shook their heads, their faces full of disbelief. What a joke. Someone born and raised in an inferior-level prefecture, and a youth who had just turned 18, was already a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering? Who would believe that? What proof do you have? Xiang Xiong stared coldly at Shi, his voice even colder. Do you know that if you lie to me, not only will you have to pay the price, but the Shi family behind you will also have to pay the price? Your Highness! Shi knelt on the ground with a thud and said seriously, "In front of your Highness, Shi naturally would not dare to lie. Everything Shi says is the truth. If your Highness does not believe me, you can send someone to the inferior-level Yinfeng Prefecture to investigate. That Zhou Dongwang was adopted by his adoptive mother, Lin Lan, when he was still a baby, and Lin Lan is a collateral descendant of the preeminent Lin family of Yinfeng Prefecture. She was sent to a small town in Yinfeng Prefecture to run a guild long ago. That small town is called Qingshan Town, and Linland's guild is called the Magnolia Guild. Everyone in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture knows about this. In fact, in Yunfeng Prefecture, Zhou Dongwang is a legendary figure. Because he is just a youth from a small town, but in such a short period of time, he has caused a huge stir in Yunfeng Prefecture with his various achievements. After Shiryu had finished speaking, he said solemnly, "If there is any falsehood in what I have said, after the Chu royal family investigates, even if they cut me into 1,000 pieces, I have nothing to say." Following Shiryu's words, the large hall once again fell into a deathly silence. "Prince!" Finally, Xueming cupped his hands towards Xiang Xiong. "I'm willing to personally make a trip to Yunfeng Prefecture to find out more about Zhou Dongwang and see if he is really as Shiryu said." "Sorry to trouble you, Commander Xue." Following Xiang Xiong's nod, Xueming turned around and left in a hurry. "Prince!" After Xueming had left, Shiryu once again looked at Xiang Xiong and said seriously, "I suspect that Zhou Dongwang may have obtained an opportunity left behind by a legendary Primal Core adept, which is why he could have such a level of practice at such a young age and tame the 2 golden-crowned eagles of a lost forest." Primal Core adept. Hearing Shiryu's words, Xiang Xiong's eyes narrowed. If everything that Shiryu said was true, then it was really possible. Otherwise, there was no other way to explain how a native of an inferior prefecture could have a level of practice that was at least at the level of petty consummation of the Qi gathering at such a young age. "All right, you may leave." Just as Fan Ji and the group of Chu royal family elders were stunned by Shiryu's words, Xiang Xiong waved his hand and said, "If Commander Xue returns and proves that what you have said is true, the Chu royal family will not mistreat you and the Shi family." "Thank you, Prince." Shiryu thanked him respectfully, stood up, and turned to leave. After leaving the great hall, a maniacal smile appeared on Shiryu's face. "Zhou Dongwang, you killed my father. I will destroy you too. If the Chu royal family cannot do anything to you, there is still the Imperial Court of Yunyang. Even if the Imperial Court cannot do anything to you, there is still the Valley of the Medicine Masters. I do not believe that the Valley of the Medicine Masters cannot do anything to you." After Shiryu had left, Xiang Xiong immediately ordered Second Elder, "Head to the Imperial City as quickly as possible and report this matter to the Imperial Court, so that the Imperial Court can send people to deal with Zhou Dongwang and the 2 golden-crowned eagles. Also, report everything that Shiryu has said to the Imperial Court." Xiang Xiong said gravely. "Prince." The second elder of the Chu royal family hesitated. "If what Shiryu has said is true, and that Zhou Dongwang has really obtained an opportunity left behind by a Primal Core adept, if we report this to the Imperial Court, won't the Chu royal family have a share?" "Foolish." Xiang Xiong shook his head, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. "Do you think that, even if what Shiryu has said is true, with the power of the Chu royal family, can we take down that youth? Although Father has attained great consummation of the Qi gathering a few years ago, and has become a great consummation adept, he still cannot do anything to those 2 golden-crowned eagles. Unless the Chu royal family has absolute confidence, we cannot have a direct confrontation with that youth." As he said this, a wise light flashed in Xiang Xiong's eyes. Of course, there was still a look of indignation on his face. But there was nothing he could do even if he was indignant. Based on the current situation, that youth was too strong, and he was completely beyond the control of the Chu royal family. "Prince, as far as I know, he is staying in the Chuxiu and under the Chu royal family." The Chu royal consort, Fan Ji, who was standing beside Xiang Xiong, said coldly, "Should we try to poison him?" "No." However, Fan Ji's suggestion was immediately refuted by Xiang Xiong. Not to mention the fact that the probability of success is very low. Even if we poison him, what would the Chu royal family gain? Who knows? We might even suffer the revenge of those 2 golden-crowned eagles. You might be able to poison Zhou Dongwang to death, but you can't poison those 2 golden-crowned eagles. As demons, they are very sensitive to any poison. Zhou Dongwang naturally did not know what was happening in the Chu royal family. Of course, the news of the extermination of the Fan family of Tianqiu City had spread like wildfire in the Chu royal city, and he had heard of it, but he did not care. Now, what troubled him was his mother, Lin Lan, seemed to like Yang Zishi very much, and after finding out that Yang Zishi was interested in him, she could not wait to bring him and Yang Zishi together. Dongwang, what's so bad about Zishi? Not only is she pretty, but she also has a good figure and a big butt. After you marry her, she will definitely give me a fat grandson. Lin Lan could not understand her son. Where can I find such a good wife? Why don't you take it for granted? Xiao Lu, don't you agree? Early that morning, Lin Lan had brought Yin Lu to the second courtyard where Zhou Dongwang was staying and had thrown a bunch of questions at Zhou Dongwang. Brother, I also think Sister Zishi is very good. Why don't you marry her and make her my sister-in-law? Yin Lu said with a grin. Get lost. You little girl, what do you know? Zhou Dongwang glared at Yin Lu and smiled bitterly at Lin Lan. Mother, have you forgotten about Chindandan? Now, do you still want to pick a couple? Lin Lan fell silent at Zhou Dongwang's words. Back then, she had almost forced Zhou Dongwang to marry Chindandan when he came of age, but after that, Chindandan had heartlessly betrayed her and her son. Before she left, she had even called her son Zhou Dongwang useless trash. Dongwang, Zishi is different. Don't compare her to Chindandan. Chindandan is not worthy. After a moment, Lin Lan took a deep breath, her tone softening. Mother, of course I know that Chindandan cannot be compared to Zishi, but I really have no such intentions towards Zishi. Just like Chindandan back then, I only see her as a younger sister. Zhou Dongwang smiled bitterly. Also, I already have someone in my heart. Seeing that Lin Lan seemed to want to continue, Zhou Dongwang immediately used his killer move. At the same time, the image of a beautiful woman that he could not shake off appeared in his mind. You, what's your name? I'm Luo Qinghan. The scene that had happened in the Lost Forest that day was right before his eyes. Although it was an accident, it was that accident that had left the girl named Luo Qinghan in his heart, imprinted in his mind, and unforgettable. Every time he had free time, he could not help but think of her. I wonder if she, in her spare time, will also think of me like me? Zhou Dongwang thought expectantly. Wow. Just as Lin Lan was stunned by Zhou Dongwang's words, Yin Lu had already cried out, her eyes shining. Big brother, no wonder when I see you in a daze, you can't help but smile, and your gaze becomes very gentle. That gentleness is different from when you look at me and mother. At that time, were you thinking of that sister? No. Were you thinking of my sister-in-law? Yin Lu looked at Zhou Dongwang excitedly, as if she had discovered a new continent. You little girl, so mischievous. Zhou Dongwang, who had been seen through by Yin Lu, glared at her angrily and stretched out his hand to grab her. Mother, big brother is angry. Yin Lu hid behind Lin Lan and made a face at Zhou Dongwang. Stupid big brother. I must have guessed correctly, right? Big brother, when will you bring sister-in-law over for mother and me to see? Is she as pretty as Sister Zishi? Also, is she from the Chu Royal City? Chapter 116. Dongwang, is what you said true? Lin Lan looked at Zhou Dongwang seriously, clearly wanting to confirm the veracity of Zhou Dongwang's words. Yes. Zhou Dongwang nodded seriously as well. Which family is she from? After receiving Zhou Dongwang's confirmation, Lin Lan's eyes lit up, and she asked eagerly, is she from a noble family? Or is she from an ordinary family? You're already 18 years old and of age. You can get married now. If you and she are in love, how about I pay a visit to her family one day? Then we can give you a betrothal gift and choose an auspicious date to marry her. Lin Lan could not wait for Zhou Dongwang to get married immediately and give her a big, fat grandson. Mother, she is not from this planet. Zhou Dongwang shook his head. Not from his planet? What do you mean? Lin Lan frowned. What I mean is that she is not from the planet of Ziyun. Zhou Dongwang smiled bitterly. Not from the planet of Ziyun? You mean she is from another planet? Lin Lan's eyes narrowed. But according to what I know, only the legendary Primal Core adepts have the ability to leave Ziyun and go to other planets. You can't be thinking of telling me that she is a mighty martial artist who has entered the primal core stage? Lin Lan asked. Yes. Zhou Dongwang nodded seriously. Dongwang, your abilities, don't tell me they came from her? Lin Lan gasped as she asked. Hearing this, Zhou Dongwang was stunned. He had never imagined that his mother would link his abilities to Luo Qinghan. However, when he thought about it, he felt relieved. Based on his current performance, it was indeed not normal, and if he was related to a primal core adept, it would be logical. Yes, Zhou Dongwang nodded. After receiving Zhou Dongwang's confirmation, Lin Lan frowned again. Dongwang, since she is a primal core adept, how old would she be? As far as I know, the mighty martial artists on the planet of Ziyun who have reached the primal core stage are basically all over 100 years old. The younger ones are already close to 100 years old, although those who have entered the primal core stage have broken through the shackles of their lifespan and can live up to 300 years. But if they're too old, won't it still affect their fertility? Lin Lan voiced out her concerns. Mother. Zhou Dongwang laughed bitterly. He really had to give in to his mother now. She's not that old. At most, she's 2 or 3 years older than me. He's older than you by 2 or 3 years. Yet he already reached the primal core stage? Do you think I'm stupid? Lin Lan said impatiently, obviously not believing what Zhou Dongwang had said. Mom, you told me 2 days ago in Tianxiu City, there's always someone better than you. Zhou Dongwang's expression turned serious. On some of the planets outside of Ziyun, not to mention 20-year-old primal core adepts, even 10-year-old primal core adepts exist. With great difficulty, he managed to fool his mother. Using training as an excuse, he escaped to his room and sat cross-legged on his bed. However, he could not calm himself down to train. As for Luo Qinghan, even he himself did not know what kind of feelings he had for her. Was it responsibility, or had he really fallen in love with her? The former was understandable, but the latter was a little mysterious. After all, they had only met once and did not know each other well. As someone who had been single for 1,000 years in his previous life, Zhou Donghuang still did not know much about relationships. The country of Yunyang ruled over a country. The ruler of Yunyang was the imperial court of Yunyang, the Jiang family. For a country like Yunyang, the central city was the imperial city, and the imperial city was also known as the Yunyang Imperial City. The imperial court of Yunyang was located in the Yunyang Imperial City. As the ruler of Yunyang, the Jiang family of the imperial court of Yunyang had a high status. Even the various royal palaces of Yunyang were only treated as retainers by the Jiang family. As the saying went, everywhere under the heavens belonged to the imperial court. Everywhere on the land belonged to the imperial court. And now, in the throne room of the Yunyang Imperial Palace, the atmosphere was somewhat solemn. All this was because of the arrival of one person. The person who had rushed all the way from the Chu royal city of the western ridge of the Chu king was the second elder of the Chu royal household, Xiang Donghua, who had just arrived at the Yunyang Imperial Palace. Although Xiang Donghua was a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering, he did not even dare to breathe as he stood in the throne room. This was because everyone present, including the person sitting on the throne room's dragon chair, was a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering. In front of these people, he, a mere petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering, was nothing at all. It was even to the extent that any one of them could easily crush him to death. I have basically understood everything. The middle-aged man, sitting on the dragon throne in the throne room, was wearing a dragon robe embroidered with 9 5-clawed golden dragons. His face was firm and dignified, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. His sword-like eyebrows were like the finishing touch of a painting, adding a hint of coldness to his entire being. He was the emperor of Yunyang, the current patriarch of the Jiang family of the imperial court of Yunyang, Jiang Tianxin. He was also one of the many great consummation adepts of the Yunyang imperial court. Commander Xiao. Jiang Tianxin's gaze fell on a middle-aged man dressed in dark gold armor. The middle-aged man looked to be in his 60s, and not only was his hair half white, even his beard was half white. He had thick brows and large eyes, and he exuded an aura of authority. He was the commander of the Imperial Guard of the Yunyang Imperial Court, Xiao Jianqing. He was also a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering who had made a name for himself in the country of Yunyang many years ago. I remember, 4 years ago, I sent you to the western ridge of the Chu King, to the Lost Forest, to kill those 2 golden-crowned eagles. But that time, not only did you return empty-handed, but even a few of your companions died. Jiang Tianchun looked deeply into Xiao Jianqing's eyes. I've also heard that for the past 4 years, you've been diligently practicing the art of the bow. You've even paid a huge price to exchange it for a second-rate archery technique, penetrating rainbow, from the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters. Are you confident of killing those 2 golden-crowned eagles now? Jiang Tianchun asked. Second-grade technique? As Jiang Tianchun spoke, not only the second elder of the Chu royal family, Xiang Donghua, but the other people present all turned to look at Xiao Jianqing. Commander Xiao, you actually managed to exchange for a second-grade technique from the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters? And it is an archery technique at that? It looks like you are still holding on to the incident 4 years ago. Second-grade technique. Commander Xiao, even if you're on good terms with the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, you must have spent a great deal of effort to exchange for that second-grade archery technique. Commander Xiao, in these 4 years, I have never heard you mention this matter. You have hidden it well. The other great consummation adepts of the Imperial Court of Yunyang sighed as they spoke, evidently just finding out about this matter. With Commander Zhao's ability and the second-grade archery technique, penetrating rainbow, the 2 golden-crowned eagles of the Lost Forest should not be a problem. The second elder of the Chu royal family, Xiang Donghua, looked at Xiao Jianqing with shining eyes, as if he could already see the 2 golden-crowned eagles being killed by the person before him. Your Majesty, Xiao Jianqing's expression darkened. In front of you, I dare not boast. With my current level of archery, even with the second-grade archery technique, penetrating rainbow, I only have a 50% chance of defeating those 2 golden-crowned eagles. If you give me a few more years. Before Xiao Jianqing could finish, Jiang Tianchun interrupted him. I can't wait that long. Xiao Jianqing smiled bitterly. If I lend you the Imperial Court's Cloud Condor, how confident are you? Jiang Tianchun asked. Cloud Condor? Xiao Jianqing's eyes lit up, and he immediately declared, Your Majesty, with the Cloud Condor, I have a 100% chance of killing those 2 golden-crowned eagles. The Cloud Condor was a flying demon reared by the Imperial Court of Yunyang, and like the golden-crowned eagles, it was a petty consummation demon. Moreover, the Cloud Condor's speed was comparable to that of the 2 golden-crowned eagles. However, if the Cloud Condor were to engage the 2 golden-crowned eagles in a fight to the death, any one of the eagles would be able to kill it. This was because the golden-crowned eagles grew up in the Lost Forest, and they were terrifyingly wild. It could be said that they had grown to this stage through slaughter. Compared to the golden-crowned eagles, the Cloud Condor was like a flower in a greenhouse. In terms of speed, it was no slower than the golden-crowned eagles, but in a fight to the death, it was no match for the golden-crowned eagles. With the speed of the Cloud Condor and Commander Zhao's ability, those 2 golden-crowned eagles are nothing to worry about. So what if that young man is a great consummation adept? Could he be stronger than Commander Xiao, who attained great consummation of the Qi gathering 10 years ago? Commander Xiao and the Cloud Condor will definitely return victorious. The other people in the throne room spoke again, as if they could already see Xiao Jianping's triumphant return. The second elder of the Chu royal household, Xiang Donghua, stood to one side, his eyes shining with excitement. With Commander Xiao and the Cloud Condor working together, wouldn't it be a piece of cake to deal with the 2 golden-crowned eagles? Commander Xiao. Hearing Xiao Jianqing's confident words, Jiang Tianchun nodded his head in satisfaction, and then added, If that young man named Zhou Dongwang is really just someone born and raised in an inferior prefecture, do your best to keep him alive and bring him back to the imperial city, because it is very likely that he has really obtained a treasure left behind by a primal core adept. As he spoke, the eyes of Jiang Tianchun the Emperor of Yunyang Country, also shone with a passionate light. Chapter 117. P.S. It was actually published at midnight on New Year's Day. The first chapter was supposed to be published, but I was stuck at the end of 2018. Consider it a New Year's gift to everyone. I hope everyone can support the official subscription. A few dollars a month is equivalent to buying me a bottle of water or a bowl of instant noodles. It will allow me to continue writing seriously. Thank you. Here is the main text. As petty consummation adepts, both the second elder of the Chu royal household, Xiang Donghua, and the commander of the Chu royal city guard, Xue Ming, had their own demon mounts. For example, Xiang Donghua's mount was a level 7 demon, lightning leopard. Even without chi, its speed was many times faster than a Fergana horse. Xue Ming's mount was a level 8 demon, sharp-toothed tiger, which was even faster than Xiang Donghua's lightning leopard. Furthermore, the distance between the Chu royal city and the inferior prefecture capital of Yunfeng Prefecture was much closer than the distance between the Chu royal city and the imperial city of Yunyang Country. Therefore, Xue Ming returned to the Chu royal city first. Your Highness, as soon as Xue Ming returned to the Chu royal city, he immediately returned to the Chu royal household to report to the Chu king, Xiang Xiong, on his findings. I have investigated thoroughly. Everything is as the first young master of the Shi family, Shi Yu said. That Zhou Donghuang was indeed born and raised in Yunfeng Prefecture. Furthermore, he did not grow up in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture, but in a small town. I visited that small town and asked many people. They all said that they watched Zhou Donghuang grow up with their own eyes. Furthermore, that Zhou Donghuang was publicly known as a martial invalid in that small town more than a year ago. He only began to display his martial ability at the end of year 1227 of the Ziyun era. After that, in just a few months, he had become someone that even the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture feared, and he had become a celebrity in Yunfeng Prefecture. On the 1st of April 1228 of the Ziyun era, he left the inferior prefecture capital of Yunfeng Prefecture and headed for the imperial city. A month later, he single-handedly defeated 4 level 6 adepts of the Wu family in the governor's household of the intermediate-level Guangling Prefecture, shocking the Wu family. On the 9th day of the 9th month, 1228 of the Ziyun era, he arrived at the royal city. As for what happened next, Your Highness, you already know about it. In the span of 2 whole months, Xue Ming had gone back and forth between the Chu royal city and the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture to investigate Zhou Donghuang's background. After listening to Xue Ming, Xiang Xiong was silent for a while. After a long while, he said unhurriedly, more than a year ago, he was still a martial arts cripple. Is it an act? Xiang Xiong looked at Xue Ming and asked. I don't think so. Xue Ming shook his head. Should? Xiang Xiong frowned. Your Highness, do you think that with that young man's strong character, would he have pretended to be powerless when he was humiliated and bullied more than a year ago? Xue Ming asked. In the small town where he was born and raised, there was a lesser family disciple who bullied him for many years a year and a half ago. He was always on the losing end because he did not have qi in his body. More accurately, he could not cultivate qi. Until the end of 1227, that lesser family disciple tried to humiliate him on the streets again. That time, he acted forcefully and crippled that grand family disciple's arm. Because of this, I specially went to look for that grand family disciple. He said that Zhou Donghuang crippled him in December 1227, and at the end of November 1227, he had also humiliated Zhou Donghuang once. And just like before, Zhou Donghuang wanted to retaliate, but was powerless. That is to say, before December 1227, that Zhou Donghuang was indeed a martial arts cripple. Following Xue Ming's words, both Xue Ming and Xiang Xiong, the Chu king who controlled the western ridge of the Chu king, realized something very frightening. The young man named Zhou Donghuang should have only started practicing in the beginning of December 1227 if there were no accidents. In just 10 days to half a month, he had the ability to kill a level 2 adept with a single blow. In just 3 months, he could even kill a level 4 adept. Now, In less than 2 years since he started practicing, he was suspected to have attained petty consummation of the Qi gathering, or even great consummation of the Qi gathering. In less than 2 years, starting from zero, he has achieved petty consummation of the Qi gathering, or even great consummation of the Qi gathering. At this moment, even Xiang Xiong, who was the #1 figure in the western ridge of the Chu king, could not help but tremble. After a long while, he looked at Xueming and took a deep breath. With some difficulty, he asked, "Xueming, what kind of fortuitous encounter do you think would allow a kid who came from a remote and desolate place to grow to such an extent in less than 2 years? This rate of growth can only be described as nature-defying." "Your Highness, don't you already have an answer?" Xueming smiled bitterly. "Besides the legendary Primal Core Adept, I really can't think of anything that could make that young man grow to such a level in less than 2 years. The Primal Core Adept left behind a Primal Core Adept." Xiang Xiong's eyes flashed, and he shook his head with a bitter smile. "It's a pity that we did not discover this secret of his earlier. If we had discovered it before he grew up, the Chu royal family would have been able to swallow him up ourselves. But now, he has grown too quickly, and the Chu royal family is no longer able to swallow him up. We can only hope that after the Imperial Court of Yunyang has swallowed him up, they will leave us some scraps." As he spoke, Xiang Xiong sighed repeatedly. "I wonder who the Imperial Court of Yunyang will send this time." Xueming's eyes shone with curiosity. Chu Xiuan, in the courtyard of the second guest house. In the largest master bedroom, the young man sat cross-legged on the bed. "During this period of time, my progress has been quite good. In at most 3 months, I should be able to attain great consummation of the Qi gathering." It had been a full 2 months since Zhou Dongwang had returned from Tianqiu City. It was now the 19th of March, 1229 of the Ziyun era. Zhou Dongwang did not allow freezing wind, Zhou Han, and Zhou Feng to leave for the time being. He allowed them to stay by his side in the second guest house of Chuxiu in a practice. In the past, he had wanted the 3 of them to expand their influence because he had not expected his own ability to improve so quickly. With his current ability, there was no longer any meaning for the 3 of them to expand their influence in the country of Yunyang. It was better to stay by his side and focus on practicing. "Young master, Lady Jiapei is here to see you." Suddenly, Fu's voice came from outside the door, and Zhou Dongwang could not help but be surprised. "Lady Ren?" Ever since the end of the year 1228 of the Ziyun era, when he had gone with Ren Jiapei to the grand family gathering at the Wei family mansion, he had not seen Ren Jiapei again. Even at the Tang family banquet 2 months ago, he had only seen Ren Xiong, the head elder of the Ren family, and the man he suspected to be Ren Jiapei's father, the patriarch of the Ren family. "Ren, Lady Ren?" Leaping off the bed, Zhou Dongwang pushed open the door and saw Ren Jiapei once again. With just one look, Zhou Dongwang almost could not recognize the young girl before him. Right now, Ren Jiapei's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. She was listless and seemed to have lost a lot of weight. She was no longer as valiant and formidable as before. She stood there alone, lovely and charming. "Big brother Zhou, can you stop calling me Lady Ren? If you can call sister Zishi Zishi, can't you call me Jiapei?" Hearing the young man call her that, the young girl's eyes dimmed, and she forced a smile. "Sure, Jiapei." Looking at the young girl now, Zhou Dongwang could not bring himself to reject her. Moreover, he had always had a good impression of this young girl. However, the way the young girl looked at him now made him realize something. He suddenly felt that, after not seeing the young girl for more than 3 months, it was probably because of him. First it was Zishi, and now there's Jiapei. This is really a headache. Now, from the way the young girl looked at him, it was not difficult for Zhou Dongwang to discover the special feeling she had for him. This was because the way she looked at him was no different from the way Yang Zishi looked at him. "Run, Jiapei, I haven't seen you in a long time. What's the matter?" Zhou Dongwang deliberately avoided Ren Jiapei's gaze and asked with a smile. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's question, Ren Jiapei's expression immediately turned serious. "Big brother Zhou, I'm here this time to tell you something. Today, the patriarch of the Tycoon Tang family, Tang Liunian, suddenly came to my house. When my father received him, he asked me to go over. Then, in front of me, he mentioned to my father that the Chu royal family had not done anything to you in this period of time. He said that he guessed that the Chu royal family would not dare to touch you. However, the Chu royal family would definitely not let this matter rest, and would definitely send someone to inform the imperial court of Yinyang. He also said that if the imperial court of Yinyang were to send someone, they would definitely send someone who is confident in dealing with you. At this point, Ren Jiapei's expression turned anxious. Big brother Zhou, why don't you leave the Chu royal city and lie low for a while? With the speed of the two golden-crowned eagles beside you, you would definitely be able to hide well and not be discovered before the imperial court of Yunyang arrives. Ren Jiapei's words let Zhou Donghuang know why she had come, and she advised him to leave the Chu royal city and lie low. That Tang Linyan is quite interesting. He did not dare come to warn me, but went to the Ren family to look for you and ask you to pass the message to me. Zhou Donghuang shook his head and smiled. Big brother Zhou, did you hear what I said? Ren Jiapei said with a serious expression. If the imperial court of Yinyang were to send someone, they would definitely be confident in dealing with the two golden-crowned eagles beside you. You are not afraid of the Chu royal family, but the imperial court of Yinyang, as the ruler of Yinyang, is far from what the Chu royal family can compare to. Although it is widely rumored that the strongest person in the imperial court of Yinyang is a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering, it is also widely rumored that the strongest person in the Chu royal family is only a petty consummation adept of the Qi gathering. In fact, the Chu royal family has a great consummation adept of the Qi gathering,